Good morning, traders out there. Welcome back to another day here at Trade the Pool. And if you're with us in the All for One competition, get ready because today we announce the winners. And I'm super excited to announce these winners. It was an awesome competition, guys, with $1 million in buying power. And we had some fun here, that's for sure. We made trades over $500,000 right here live in front of you guys. So I hope that you guys that tuned in to the competition are here today. So welcome back to the show. And today we get back to the evaluation side of things. We get back to trading our accounts and going for the gold, right? The real gold, the funded accounts, and making some money, of course. So get ready for the show, guys. It's going to be a great one today. We'll get to the action. We'll take a look at what stocks are moving. But of course, the U.S. goes to war is what I put on the title, because that's exactly what happened, of course, throughout the weekend as we joined in with Israel and the Iran situations there. So looks like we did some attacks this weekend, and that, of course, shaking up things. People were expecting the markets to be down big. Not really down big this morning. Actually was up in the futures this morning, but then we took a little bit of a dump here in the last, let's say 20, 30 minutes, but now starting to bounce back. So here's the question. Do you play the bounce or do you play the shorts? That's the hard part here. Of course, you guys know how probably Michael Noss will be feeling. He'll be playing the long side of things. I can almost guarantee it. I'm a little bit on the fence here. Hard to open up new positions, but at the same time, I'm just worried about disaster stories like we're seeing this morning in HIMS. Did you guys see that move? HIMS taking a big hit down. We'll talk a little bit more about this during the show. We'll get to the Sunrise Report, the playbook, where you guys get what? Stocks and trade ideas out there today to look at. Let's go right to that playbook. Let's take a look at what's going on in the market today. And then, of course, we'll see if SPY can just climb the worries right back. And we'll take a look at oil, right? Oil higher and now starting to pull back. Is this a play to play? Well, you know, Money Mitch has a play here for you guys to take a look at. We'll talk all about these oil plays. Let's get to the action today and today's playbook action. Let's go. Let's kick things off. All right, first one up on the playbook, guys, is going to be a stock that had, of course, none other than the robo-taxi day. As on the weekend, we got Tesla robo-taxis to come out, and now we watch the hourly chart, guys, and now we just look at this flag pattern, and I'm not going to make it hard. I'm not trying to make this about whether the Tesla event did well, whether you believe that they had a safety person in the car or not. We can talk more about that during the show. What I'm looking for, do we get back to Friday's high? Friday's high was 332.36, and that's the level that I'll be looking to see if we can break to go higher, right? We'll see what happens with this. It was a little back and forth action. Of course, we have a clean ascending triangle setting up here, a break above 332.36, Friday's high essentially, could ignite the next leg up. Keep your eyes on the volume. Bulls might be ready to floor it. Haha, pun intended. Let's keep it going. Let's go over now to oil, as we'll be watching to see what happens in Chevron. As last week, I was actually looking at this, and we were looking at this into the 145 kind of range when this had the pullback on Monday, and now it's really taken off. It's gone another 4% and starting to push higher. I think we're just starting in a bigger rally in oil. I know that some people are thinking that this is not going to happen, but with the situation that's going out there, I just don't see how oil doesn't just get a huge lift off here. We'll see what happens with other trades like Gush and Chevron, but both of them are going to be looking to go ahead and get in. How are we going to play this? That's the important part. We're going to fade the open and trade the VWAP oil play on the backside, right? So what does that mean? Well, stick around here, guys. I'm going to show you guys exactly what that means coming up. Hit the like button and let me know. Are you looking at oil this morning? Let me know in the chat. I'll be trying to catch some chat comments. And like always, you guys can catch yourselves in the chats. Hit yourself up here. I'll be putting it onto the show in just a second. It's good to see you guys out there. Locke, Nelson, how are we doing out there this morning? Hey, what stock is on your radar? We'll keep it going here. Let's keep going with the playbook as we keep moving now to a small cap as we move over to apps. Apps is a stock that I traded last week, of course, during the competition. Made a good amount of money on this one. Now looking to see if it's going to go ahead and complete the cup and handle pattern. We've made a pullback to the 9 EMA. This looks like a perfect cup and handle pattern that could continue going. And now it's just a matter of, do we go into the gap or not, right? Because if we go into the gap, that's going to be the area where we could struggle. But I'm looking to see if we use this area as resistance, create a support here, and then get this back up there to 7, maybe even higher through the 8s and continuing on. Of course, it did have earnings right before the day that it did get the jump. The earnings were pretty good. So let's see if it can catch the dip here. Gap support, EMA reclaim here, back above the 9. Well, that's what I'll be looking for on APPS, and I'll be looking at other stocks, of course. If you guys have a name that you guys want to check out this morning, make sure you throw it up right there in the comments. All right, let's keep things going. Let's move over to the Sunrise Report, where we take a look at what stocks are moving and why. And there's a lot to talk about, of course, on the war situation. So let's get to that action, and then stick around, guys, because it's going to be a fun one today. We're going to be talking about different actions and announcing the winners. Yes, you heard that right. Today, the winner announcement coming up, 9 a.m. Don't miss it. Let's keep it going, guys. Let's go now over to the Sunrise Report and take a look at what stocks are moving this morning and why, of course. And there's not too much inter-day actual stock action, but there's a lot of macro talk that we got to get into. So let's kick things off with this morning's Sunrise Report. Right, on the Sunrise Report, Monday edition, the markets dip after the U.S. launches strikes on Iran, and energy and defensive stocks are in focus this morning. And of course, that's kind of easy a given, right, with the headlines, right? The futures were lower despite the U.S. entry into Iran and Israel conflict. Wall Street opened up the week on edge as the U.S. carried out airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend, escalating the conflict in the Middle East. However, oil prices remain relatively stable here and tempering the broader market expectation. The futures were down a slight bit, but then bounced back. And that's just how it is right now. A little bit of a shake, right? So now you can see the Qs are actually riding higher, and so is the SPY. So we're going to have to wait to see what happens at the open here. The U.S. targeted nuclear facilities in Fordo and also 2 other locations on Saturday, and a move that caught many by surprise, as President Trump has said Friday a decision would come within 2 weeks. Well, the 2 weeks were very shortened, right? It was just like a couple of days, right? Well, a day actually, right? Well, that's the kind of comment that definitely caught some traders by surprise. In a televised statement, though, Trump did warn here, though, that there would either be peace or tragedy for Iran, far greater than what we've seen in the last 8 days. So there could be further conflict and further kind of things that are coming. So I think this is what we got to be watching for. We'll see what happens with the situation. Definitely stocks kind of coming back and forth. We'll see. Does this cause the turnaround? It seems like it hasn't done that yet. Oil prices are holding steady now, for now at least, right? WTI crude was up about 1% to 74.68 off the barrels of the overnight highs, right? While oil surged in the recent weeks, Sunday night spike was muted. Markets appeared cautiously optimistic that Iran won't retaliate in a way that disrupts global supply, at least not yet, of course. And those are all things to be thinking about right now, because that's what we're going to be watching. It's all about the straits, right? And now shipping is going to be on alert. We'll see what happens there, as Iran's parliament has reported the approval and closure of the vital oil choke point. But the final call rests with its National Security Council. Experts say a full closure is unlikely, given that China's dependency on oil shipments from the region, but it's something to watch. I think what you might see is that oil that is going to China will be allowed through. Other than that, I don't think it's going to be allowed through. So we could start seeing oil definitely and prices jump. So keep your eyes on that, right? Energy stats, of course, 20% of the global oil supply flows through the strait. So that could definitely be disrupted. Iran exports about 1.5 million barrels a day via this route, and that could be turned, right? Analysts warn that the full closure could push oil above $100 a barrel, which is the absolute opposite of what Trump, I think, is trying to intend here with joining into the war. I think he's trying to intend to get oil prices down further, and that can help offset some of his tariff conversation with inflation. The best strategy for Iran would be to rattle flows enough to drive up prices, but not enough to provoke a full-scale U.S. response. That came from Andrew Bishop of Signum Global Advisors. I kind of agree with that. Right now, if they do battle back too much on the U.S., it seems like Trump is ready to just kind of destroy them. If that does happen, definitely things could be quick here. And I think that's one thing that Trump is clearly stating that you need to be looking out for. He said that it's going to be quick. So we'll see what happens there if we do get that full-scale U.S. response. Let's go to some defensive names as we are seeing a little bit of some moves up and down here. We can see that the market's kind of driving back here, but let's go to the defensive names like Lockheed Martin and different action there. You guys can see how they're popping up in the morning. You also got NLC, right? RTX. That was getting a nice little lift there. So we'll continue to watch to see how these are performing. Even Palantir being included in this group. Can they keep moving higher? It's all something to look out for in the defensive names. All right, we'll take a look at some other action as, of course, in crypto land, things were a little bit shaky this weekend. And we could talk about that with, let's go to Bido. Of course, you could take a look how that's pulled back significantly from the breakout look and now starting to turn around and actually breaking through the 50, heading through the 200, and now starting to break down. This doesn't look good here for Bitcoin, at least for the time being. And it also broke the 100K mark. Are we going to see sharp declines come in here? Something to be thinking about, guys. Ethereum also down about 5% below 2,200. Keep your eyes to see what happens here. Over 1 billion in crypto positions were liquidated on Sunday, and 95% of the liquidations came from long bets. So Bitcoin spot ETF inflows dropped out sharply heading into the weekend. We'll see what happens. The technical breakdown just added gasoline to the fires. And that was said by a couple analysts. And definitely something to watch out. We'll see what happens. The S&P 500 did lose about 0.15 last week. Second straight weekly decline, but not big declines, right? Pretty much sideways action. The bottom line, of course, the markets are on high alert, but oil muted reaction and limited escalation for now suggests that investors still see containment as the base case here. Eyes remain on Iran's next move, particularly any retaliation targeting U.S. assets or a move to shut down the strait, right? And kind of affect shipping. Of course, you can stay with us like always for daily updates as the situation unfolds. Stay with Trade the Pool. Check out, of course, the Sunrise Report that comes out every single day on our Discord. So if you don't have our Discord, you are missing out, my friend. So get the Discord to get the Sunrise Report first and be ready for the markets. All right, we'll get towards some trading action in a few minutes. We'll be getting back on into it. We'll kick things off early at 9 a.m. where we announce our winners. Yes, it's that day, guys. We're excited. I don't know about you guys. I'm excited for sure to announce the winners from the competition, guys. Who's on the top 10? Wait and find out, of course. Let's keep going out there. We'll take a look to see what else is making a move out there. Let's keep it moving. Let's go now over and take a look at some stock trade ideas. We can take a look at the watch list. We can take a look at HIMS dropping fast, the VIX dropping fast with the liftoff in the market. And this was interesting because, of course, we did get that downward action that actually came in. It was pretty quick towards that support. This is exactly how institutions can use a scaring moment to come in and just raise the market. We're actually 2 points almost off of that spot there where you got this quick decline and a move right back up. So we'll see what happens here in the market. Let's keep it rolling through different stocks. If you guys have some stocks you guys want to check out, now's your chance. Throw them up in the chat there. I'll be catching some names there. How we doing this morning? Ashways, what's going on? NASDAQ, suspiciously positive pre-market. I would expect a drop out the open. We're gonna have to wait and see. I don't know, man. This market just wants new all-time highs. It's definitely something to be thinking about. What about who is outside of the top 10? Well, whoever is outside of the top 10 can take a look at the leaderboard. We're going to be announcing the top 10 here, but we also will be announcing what maybe other traders will be receiving today as a little bit of an added bonus. So stick around. A lot to talk about on the winners announcement. Let's keep going. We'll take a look at different stocks. And if you guys got a stock, throw it up in the chat. Now's your opportunity. Let's see if any of these small names are moving this morning. We got this HCAI. Kind of get a little lift there. It's hanging out at the 125 right now. It could get going back up there to the $2 spot. I don't mind it. I'm definitely keeping an eye on this one. HCAI. We'll take a look at some other names out there in the small cap land. OP is another name out there back towards 225. We'll see if that one can catch. And of course, we saw some big runners last week. Will these kind of continue, or will they just kind of give out? Right? Zero, one of the top winners for me, over $500,000 traded on this name. We'll see. Can we get a pullback and get another move higher? Something definitely to be thinking about. I have about $250,000 and no account prize. How come? Well, you didn't make enough money, Amir. But we'll talk a little bit more about that. And we'll talk more about the competition, man. At the end of the day, you should be happy. If you made it in the profits, just be happy, man. That's what it's all about. That's what it's about in this competition, is learning the skills that you could have done and used with that type of money. Thoughts on a CMG long? Well, I did buy CMG yesterday. Not the stock, of course, but actual Chipotle. So maybe I'm with you, Kevin. I did try out that new seasonal. I think it's called like the honey Chipotle chicken or whatever. Hey, it was a little spicy, but it was pretty good. So I'll give it to them. I like that they're bringing in these new seasonal adjustments to Chipotle. It definitely does bring in some more customers. I think Chipotle is kind of at its point where it's reached its hype day, right? I don't think it's going to go higher in the hype, but can it stick around? Yeah, it could stick around. I think this is one name that will continue just kind of slowly rising, but it's not going to be the same growth that you had early on in, let's say, 18 to 22. I think you're starting to see a little bit of a slowdown. When you think about it, from 2018 to the high, this thing went up 1,000%. So at some point, this is going to be on a little bit of a decline and not just ripping as higher, right? Like, yes, it might go higher, might get another 20 or 30 if it gets up to this trend line, but how much further does it go? I think those are all things to be thought about. If you do want to approach it, I think this would be my target area, right? Can you get me towards this area? I wouldn't mind selling there and then making a look to see if it goes towards the 70 and breaks out above that, right? Not a bad looking stock though. AMD, guys, AMD at the high. Is that a state Nick or skate Nick? Well, let me make it a little bit bigger so I can read and not feel blind. Scattin Nick. I think I said that right. But hey, we've been talking about AMD here since 116. I know you like AMDL. I actually traded AMDL. I got out of that thing, but man, I should have held on the swing. I had that closer towards 580s. It's 736 now, but look at AMD. AMD, I was trying to trade this at 116. Now it's way higher than that, guys. The weekly really starting to take off here, and things are looking really good in AMD. And what happened this morning? The lemmings came in, guys. Of course, what comes in after the stock goes higher? Well, the analysts start changing price targets. They're starting to come in this morning, and I think we continue to see if AMD can keep pushing the levels. So doesn't look bad there. We'll keep pushing with AMD. All right, well, let's go to the watch list. We can go to some different names out there, see what's moving this morning, and kind of take a look at that. Oof, look at HIMS down 25%. Ugly candle, guys. Ugly candle. Cup and handle negated, and real big disaster coming in for HIMS this morning. Not what you want to see there, definitely, as this stock takes a massive hit. Novo Nordisk ending the collaboration with Hims and Hers is exactly why this is coming down. So what are you seeing? More and more battles of what? They want to do direct to consumer, so D2C models. HIMS was a way to get more sales, and now they're pulling the plug on HIMS. So, hey, the plug has been pulled on HIMS. I think this trade is dead in the water now. I think I'd be getting rid of HIMS, at least for me. We'll see what happens now with other momentum names. Of course, HIMS and Palantir were trading side by side. They didn't get the negative news, but we'll see what happens. Does momentum start to break? Things to think about. Rigetti breaking down further this morning tells me further and further that quantum trade could be falling off here. QBTS will be one that I'll be watching to see if it falls off here. Support already breaking this morning, looking towards 15 to see if it keeps going further. It doesn't look good this morning. You can see the leakage coming in the quantum names. So to me, high alert on quantum to the downside. IonQ leading the pack. Now down to 39, right? Well, this is not looking good, guys. A QUBT that was super hot. Boom. There it goes, guys. Ah, man, this is frustrating, guys. Even before the show started, right around here, I was watching it, guys, looking to see if this was going to be something that I could trade towards the open. And right there, boom, from 8:30, it's been a disaster there. And QUBT now down to 1574 and really starting to come down fast there, guys. So the quantum names are falling off. It seems like momentum is falling off. I know that the markets are not down and the Qs are higher. This shows you more and more how it's a stock picker's environment and a rotation that's going on in the markets. And if you don't pay attention to the rotation, you don't pay attention to what's going on right now and being in the right stocks, you can easily not only get run over, but really wreck accounts. So just be careful out there, traders. We'll see what's going on out there. We can go to some other names. I'm seeing some other ones starting to lift here. CDTX, huge lift off there in this biotech name. We'll see if it keeps going. This morning, it was up there all the way to $48. It's had opened up at 22, man. It's an absolute crazy ride. We'll see if this one can pull back and we can find a play on CDTX. If you guys got a name, keep throwing them up. I'm catching them out there. SOXL starting to get a little bit of a lift back higher. Of course, this one was down with that down move. We'll look to see if this one can continue just to ride higher. If you do get SOXL higher, you can take a look to see what certain names are leading in SOXL so that you can maybe play towards a stock specific name, right? We'll see what happens in these names. There has been names that have been hot, like AVGO and Micron. So keep your eyes on some of those names, right? Micron has been really hot. AVGO. Can these names continue? Marvell has had a recent little spike. So can these names kind of push higher? Can Microsoft reclaim back to the high, or is it going to go for a little bit of a pullback? These are the things that I think we need to be thinking about because we are starting to look extended and we are slowing down near the top. But it could just be that stair step higher that we can continue to grind higher. It's good to see some new faces here in the chat. That's what I love to see, guys. So you guys out there, good morning to you guys. Definitely good to be with you guys, and definitely we'll be thinking about different stocks out there. You guys keep throwing up some stocks ideas. We're going to do the same thing we did in the competition. Just ready to get after some more good names, right? If you guys have a stock you guys want to take a look at, definitely take a look at it. I'm seeing some mentions in the chat. Remember, we're stock only, equities only. So if you throw up, like, let's say Forex and things like that, we can't help you. That's just not going to be for us. But I will tell you where you can check out and learn from that. That's all about the Fivers. If you haven't checked out the Fivers, definitely check them out. All right, guys, it's 8:58. In a minute or two, we'll be kicking off the show for real. We'll get towards the competition. We'll get towards the announcing the winners. You guys out there, smash the like. It's going to be a great day today. And like always, you guys want to show up in the comments. Well, comments are open right underneath me. So if you guys have a stock that's moving, do us a favor. Throw it up there. Tell us why it's moving. And that's going to help all traders out. So realize that traders will be catching your trades even if they're not looking in the chat. You're part of the show. So run the show, guys. Help traders out there. And like always, call your own shots. That's what it's about. It's about telling traders about, look at this trade, so then they can make their trading decisions. All right, guys, just give me one quick second there. We're going to kick off the show here. We're going to go towards it. We'll talk all about it during the show. We'll get Michael Noss on here. It's time to start that countdown and start the show.
wants 200, baby.
You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money. It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at.
All right, traders, let's go ahead. Let's bring on the man himself, Michael Noss. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Another good day to be a bull.
Another good day to be a bull.
Doesn't matter what happens.
For a second there was slipping there. I'm sure you were looking at it. Tell the truth.
The first thing I did, and this is what I think everyone should do before you go and fall for the fear mongers on Twitter, is I went to ChatGPT and I said, okay, give me the top last 10 times that U.S. got involved in a Middle Eastern conflict. Goes here. There's like 10 in the last 20 years. And give me the dates. And I just went back to the SPY chart and I looked at all of those dates. And what happened right now is the same thing that happened pretty much every time. Nice green day today, nice green day tomorrow. Beauty of what we do as technical analysts is that we can just go back. We can say, okay, what happened before? And just see. So in this case, it looked like it hammered out pretty well, which was great because I was able to get a little bit of the futures off the open when they gapped down. So I got out of those pretty quickly, but nice little overnight trade there for sure.
Yeah, definitely good overnight trades and shake going around. We'll see what happens out there. We'll talk more about, of course, the macro situation, but we got something first to talk about it, of course. And I know that you guys in the chat are excited. Let us know out there. Throw up a 1 in the chat if you guys competed in the all for one competition. I want to see that chat buzzing because we're about to announce the winners here. You guys smash that like. I had people in the chat out there definitely mentioning the competition. Who's inside the top 10? Asking who's outside the top 10. They just want to know what place was out there. Well, I'll tell you one thing really quickly, guys. If you were able to just stay in the green, right? Just stay in the green, trading with that kind of size, right? We'll give you a real pat on the back first. Right? Yes. For all those that competed and stayed green, I'll give you the pat on the back. Then I'll give a pat on the back for those that at least risk managed, right?Maybe you didn't end green, but you at least risk managed. I think Michael would agree with me. Pat on the back for those traders too, man. Because
there was a lot that weren't. We went to, I'll call it the graveyard of the competition.
We watched a couple of blow-ups, right? And not the way to go maybe about it, right? Not the way, at least to definitely win the competition. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Right? But I think it's time, guys. I think it's time to really kind of get towards the action. I think it's time to sound the trumpet, as I like to say, and get to the action. Who's going to win here? Sound that trumpet. Who's the winners? I want to know who won out there. Dun, 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 dun. Let's kick things off here because it's going to be definitely interesting to see who took first place and by how much. That's the question for me. Let's clap it up here for the top 10 here as we bring in the graphic. Let's go for it. Boom, baby. Oh, wrong one. This one. Top 10 P&L by performance here coming in with the kill. 1,000,000.5.
Wow.
Jorge, is that our Jorge out there? Just killing it, destroying it. And then second place, 1.4 million. Nathanapong, man, you guys absolutely killed it. You guys get the top prize, 100K accounts, of course. Then we got the 50Ks up there, and you guys can see it over a million. There was about 1, 2, 3, 4 traders that made over a cool $1 million on the plus side of things. So definitely shout out to everybody that was competing in the competition. But crazy results when you think about it there. Can't go wrong with that action. I got to give a shout out to them because that's some big money. And then who else do you see on there? Let's leak down there. There's someone I think I know. My man, Michael Noss, shout out to him. 909,340. Michael, what did you learn in the competition, and what do you feel about making the top 10, my friend? Congratulations.
Yeah, these are fun. These competitions are fun, right? You have to combine a little bit of normal trading with a little bit of YOLO, right? And so it's YOLO your profits, but like you were talking about, make sure you risk manage. We saw so many people in that graveyard of blow the entire account because they had a trade, it didn't work. I took a handful of like $100,000 plus losses. So you kind of have to take the numbers completely out of your head, and you have to swing. You have to YOLO. You can't be the guy who's taking profits right away. It just doesn't work in this. So these are always a lot of fun. So this was a lot of shorting low float penny stocks and getting out quickly when it didn't work. Gotten a couple of those that did the offerings and stuff midday and just crashed. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm excited for the next one. It was cool to cast too, not only compete. It was fun to cast.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely fun. And we'll talk a little bit more about the competition during the show. So stick around. At 10:30, we'll talk about our best trades. That's what we're going to do at 10:30, guys. We're going to re-announce the winners, and we can talk a little bit about our best trades talks. So you want to know a little bit more about how Michael made his money? There's one way. Stick around. I'll see you at 10:30, my friend. We'll talk more about that. Definitely support it all. That's what I love to see, man. It's at the end of the day, guys, that's what we're here for. We're here to support you guys, show you guys at least a way to take it into the professional approach, right? At the end of the day, guys, I know that you guys aren't professional traders listening in, but that should be the approach that you guys take to get to that next level, right? And that's what Michael and I try to show you guys every single day in this show. We're going to continue battling. We're going to continue trading, continue showing you it all right here on Trade the Pool, of course. Let's get to the next part of the competition, which wasn't only the top 10, but the rewards in where? Of course, our Discord side of things. So let's kick things off with that action. These guys don't know they've won or not. So let's really kick off this. I'm excited really to go ahead and bring in the Discord side, the Discord winners. And of course, if you aren't a part of our Discord, this is the reason why you didn't win, right? You needed to be in the Discord, be active, and talk to traders that can help you learn and get to the next step. Here's, of course, the top 10 contributors on Discord. Let's give it up here for Mini Mung with 50K win. And of course, this is stated by users, so I want everyone to go ahead and blow up Gil. I'm going to be throwing up her email in just a second here so you guys can catch the link here. Also, check out on the Discord to reach out there for any details about this. But you guys see it, 250K winners here. And then, of course, the other names. I'm not going to go through every single one, but as you guys can see, not bad at all. Some extra prizes given out to, of course, our Discord members. And why? Because they put in the hard work for us, so we put in the hard work for them, right? Top 10 contributors on the Discord side of things. I hope that you guys keep pushing and keep going to that next level, because I want to see you guys next time on this top 10 contributors from the Discord. So definitely go ahead and reach out, guys. Like always, we're going to continue battling. We'll go to that next level. We'll keep pushing to see what else we can find. And of course, definitely reach out to Gil if you guys got the prize. And on Discord, there'll be more details about this, right? So if you need more details and you're on the Discord side of things, just go over to the Discord things. They'll have a link right there for you to go ahead and send it out. But definitely shout out to the winners announcement here for the All for One competition. The only thing that I got to say, though,
I was just going to say, make sure. What was that?
I don't think we beat the Qs, my friend.
No, we didn't. But so that was the thing. We were all supposed to work together to beat the Qs, which did pretty much nothing last week. And we lost as a group a lot of money. I think it was like 10 million, 11 million by the end of it. However, if you participated, just as a thank you, stay tuned to your email, because you're going to be getting an email of a discount to potentially get yourself some evals, a little bit of cheaper prices. So again, not only did you have to sign up, but you had to sign up, you had to do some trading, you had to be a little bit active. So again, pay attention to that email if you're looking for a little bit of discount. But yeah, all in all, super fun time. right?
Yeah, you had
Great.
to be active trading, but you will see that email there, guys. I put it down at the bottom here because I know
Yep.
I'm going to get 50 questions about that during the show. So I'm going to leave that scrolling for a little while. It's not to annoy you guys. It's just to fill you guys in on how everyone that participated actually won, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we all won. And we all win at the end of the day because get this opportunity here at Trade the Pool, of course. So shout out to my man Michael Katz and the team at Trade the Pool.
I was about to say, yeah, shout out to Michael because although we failed miserably, he's still giving everybody a little bit of a competition. So maybe next time we can do a little better and try to beat that market there. That'd be great.
Yeah, and look who we have popping in. The man, the legend, the myth, the man himself, Jorge in the back. Whoa. I heard a little bloop, bloop, bloop. Let's bring him on. The winner. What's going on, my friend? How we doing?
Hey, you hear me? You hear me clear, guys?
Hold on. Can everybody hear the myth and legend that is Jorge here? Because Jorge, at this point, I'm gonna have to fly you in, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's good to see you again, guys.
Yeah.
It was a pretty nice competition. I really enjoyed it.
So now I know who I was trying to catch up to. Now I know. Now we know, Michael, who we were trying to catch up to.
We didn't have the names, but yeah, we were watching your trading. It was great. It was consistent. You were taking losses, which is what I want you to yell at the audience here for, because some people weren't. So yeah, you did a really, really good job, man.
Yeah, legendary, man. I would say, because for you guys that don't know, right? There's a lot of people in the chat that might not know this guy right here. This guy right here, multi-competition winner. Well, because that's the way I see it. I know that you got second. We're not gonna get into that. We're not gonna get into particulars. You are absolutely destroying these competitions, Jorge. How do you do it?
I don't know. I think it's just discipline. Discipline. Well, this is the second competition I land in the top one, right? But I think this one is way tougher than the previous ones because there was a lot of volatility, and I saw like other people taking like huge size and making a lot of money. And, I was struggling with FOMO. I was like, oh man, I'm missing that move.
Yeah.
And I made some decisions based on FOMO, and guess what? I lost money. So what I decided is, okay, I'm just gonna stick to my plan. I'm just gonna follow my, wait for the trades that I know are gonna be profitable. And at the end, it was worth it. It paid off. So yeah, I think it was a matter of discipline because I took huge losses because of FOMO.
Yeah, I think you're learning more and more. Less is more, Jorge, and you're seeing it more and more. And how do you define that now? What's going to be the important part, right? What are those real opportunities that you want to take your shot at, right? And then what are the ones that you might want to just let somebody else trade it, right?
Right.
I think that's what you're starting to see more and more. And I think that we're looking forward to seeing how you distinguish yourself further, right? Because at the end of the day, this is all about testing your skill level. I think you tested your skill level again and realized you can do it, Jorge. But the differentiating factor, right, is how do I distinguish those high quality plays so that I can stick to those high quality plays, right? And make the type of money that you clearly can do it. It's just more, can I do it in a repeated fashion? What do you feel has been kind of more of that wall that you're finding also to really pay yourself? Because I know that's what you're looking for, Jorge.
Yeah, well, since last competition to this one, I've been trading with Trade a Pool. I've been trying to maintain my funded accounts, which I still do, and still, going for other valuation accounts. And it's just a matter of practicing discipline first. So I already have my A+ setups that I always look for, and I think that's what has been helping me. Just being patient, wait for them, and once they present, don't hesitate and go for them. And also, once I'm in, just take my profit according to my plan, not just let it go and hold and wait, hold and hope.
No close your eyes trading, man.
Well, and any major differences, right? For because you said you trade eval accounts, you have real accounts, and then we have a competition. Other than just really sizing up, I guess, the risk for the competition, any other tips you'd give? Because I know we're planning on having more competitions, and I know there is a little bit of a different kind of thought to trading from there. So is it one of those, got any tips for anyone for how they could potentially, I know you're training your competition here, but potentially do a little better in the competitions?
Yeah, I think it's managing risk. My tip number one is managing your risk. If I enter a trade, I have to set up what is going to be my risk, how much I'm willing to lose, and what is going to be my take profit. Could be 2 to 1, 3 to 1, or whatever. But I think managing the risk is the key, and patience. It's just a matter of waiting for those setups to show up
Yeah.
and go for them. Because again, during this competition, because of FOMO, sometimes I was in a profitable position, but I was just like holding, hoping it goes up, because for other ones was working, right? They were making hundreds of thousands in just one trade. And as I saw that it was not working for me, then I said, okay, I just need to stop and just stick to my plan.
Yeah.
So I think it's discipline, managing risk, and take your profits when according to your plan, not just like hold and hope.
Yeah, man. At least to wrap up here, Jorge, at least if anybody's tuning in now, of course, we're talking to the top man himself here in the competition, made $1.5 million in profits and loss here. So, I mean, definitely crazy return. And when you think about it, I think this is also showing me here that, hey, I mean, even if you did like half of this return in the investment space that, Michael and I are in every single day, I mean, that's absolutely blows some of the returns from some of the best investors in the world.
150% in 3 days, right? The best hedge funds out there, 30% a year. So yeah, it's just
so what this also tells me here, Jorge, is that you got to find that way to maybe it's not this return, right? But maybe it's something a little lower, but that you could repeat year in and year out, and you'd be one of the best traders in the world, Jorge. So, hey, man, you have something to strive for. Keep pushing. I know that you try to raise the bar all the time, and just know that you at least have some fans here that are rooting you on. I know I'm one of those too, and just realize that you're making it also possible for those other traders. I know that you tend to share a lot of your tidbits, and you help other traders. So I think that's really appreciated, man. And we're rooting you forward. Keep pushing on your success. Realize the door is always open to you, man. If you want to come on, talk about a trade idea, talk about a strategy that's working, or help other traders continue to push it forward, man. So keep going after it, Jorge. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.
Shout out to you, man. Killer results. And I know Michael and I, we were trying to fight. We couldn't catch you, my friend. We couldn't catch you.
Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, it was fun, and it was very enjoyable, to trade along with you guys.
Yeah, definitely a fun time to trade, and we'll do it again, Jorge, next time.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and,
sure.
And if we do a team competition where it's like 3 or 4, you're my first pick, Jorge.
That's what they know. He's on my
pick. I'll be happy to trade with you. Yeah.
All right, man. Take it easy. Have a good time. Take care of the family and keep working hard, man. Have a good one.
See ya.
All right, guys. Great to join here. I didn't even know he was going to pop in. I just heard a little bloop, and I said, you know what?
There's our winner. Yeah.
The myth, the legend, man. And he's actually done really well. And what I like is the repeated results, right? This is what I always talk about. Sometimes like your approach is important, but also realize results are important too. And sometimes we can fight ourselves on our results and be like, oh, no, but this and this and this and that, right? The truth is that the matter of results speak for themselves. Right?
Well, and the fact too that we were watching his trading the whole time. We didn't know it was him, right? We didn't have names. We just had account numbers.
We were watching him the whole time.
Whatever. And it was, he didn't YOLO and then just win a trade, right? That's not how he won. It was very consistent. We talked about how you would scroll through, and just like my trading, you would see $50,000, $100,000 loss right there, and which are 10% of your account. They're big losses. So he's trading big, but he was managing that risk the entire time. There was not I'm just swinging for the fences and hopefully I make money and that would be great. There was none of that. It was, okay, I'm going to take a little hit, and then he had these massive winners. So you can see that that's trading just the way trading should be done, where it was, I'm wrong, time to get out, reevaluate, I'm right, let me really go for the guts here and see if I can make a bunch of money. So that's what I like. If someone had won
losses, man, take losses, right? That's another big thing there. Take losses, take them. Yes, you heard that right. Take them.
Yeah. And
once you get to this point where you stop thinking yourself as an invincible trader, you'll start doing a little bit better, right? Because there's no one in this space is invincible. You can ask Jorge himself, right? He's not invincible. I'm not invincible. Nobody is invincible. The only person that's invincible is someone that doesn't trade, right? There's going to be people that tell you out there they don't have losers. Well, they don't trade, right? So traders lose. The key, we don't lose more than we win, right? That's all we're trying to do. That's all we're trying to do when it comes down to it. Yeah. And so just sometimes I feel like traders make it a little bit too difficult. And they try to push themselves too much. And another thing that I think you can learn from this is that you don't need to make 150% returns, guys. That's one I wanted to state. Like you see like 30 or 40% in the year, massive returns, man. Massive returns.
Best in the world is making that. And then after that, it's just getting access to enough buying power to make that reasonable, which is why we're here at a prop firm, right?
That's what it's about, guys.
If you have a $200,000 account, and you're making 30 to 50% a year at not every 3 days, that's six-figure income, and hopefully you're only trading a few hours a day. That's what we're looking for. So small gains, and then eventually just over time, you leverage up. Maybe you've got a couple accounts, you add some money into your own account. If you have a system that works, the money will find you in order to make that system a good enough one that you can make a living off of, right? So
yeah, shout out to Jorge. Definitely 2 competitions in the book, guys. And we're talking at thousands and thousands of traders, so definitely congratulations. It's time to push though into the real things, guys. It's time to get to the evals and get focused in, guys, because the one thing that happens, and this is normally a normal thing out of a competition that can happen, guys, is what? Today's that one day where you're going to have that juicy feeling from the competition where you want to step up and take swings. This is when I tell guys that are opening up new evals or maybe trading back to their evals, realize that your mentality might have shifted during the competition. And this is normal. Competition mindset is not the same as your eval mindset. You can try to keep it that way, but realize just make sure that you're understanding what you're using and how many shares you're getting with your buying power now, right? It's okay to do it, but understand your risk, right? Because if you're going to 5x your risk of what you used to do, make sure you're at least 5xing that return too, right? Because that's the one thing that I would tell you. It's okay to hit the gas pedal. Just make sure that you're also hitting the gas pedal on the other side too, right? Because you start risking for 150 to make 150. And before you were making 150 for only risking 50, you're going to blow your math out of proportion, and you can quickly have no edge in the market. That's why we always talk about edge. That's why Michael stays systematic, because he's trying to keep edge, right? Really easy way to lose edge is to change your trading strategy to the point where what you used to do no longer makes sense. And then now what you're doing, you're not able to repeat, right? So just keep that in mind, right? I want to slow everyone down before everybody hears that bell and hits the gas pedal, right? Because we all made a lot of money, and a lot of us did. And one of the easy ways to get wrecked is the first day back, right?
Yes.
The first day back, right? After the first day, we can calm down a little bit.
Well, yeah, I always look at it like the first day back at the gym. You go a little too hard, that pre-workout's going, you feel great, and then all of a sudden the next day you can walk, right? So you gotta ease your way in, warm back up.
You used to work out every day. You stop working out for a couple months. You go and put in a hard workout, see how you feel, right?
Can't move your arms for a while.
Yeah.
And you know,
I got you.
So both, and also I think even more so, right? Just to bring this back into the market, is you got to see we haven't done anything. Right? So yes, there was a lot of craziness over the at night. Yes, I loved this candle. If we go to, this was the opening Sunday night candle. You can see just bought right off the open. People were waiting, right, rubbing their hands, saying, "I can't wait for this gap down. I'm super excited to buy." The gap down happened and then just ripped overnight. But if you just kind of look net, we haven't done anything. Right? We're pretty much right at even. The Qs are up 0.04%. That's essentially flat, right? So everyone got real excited there over the weekend, like they always do, right? The fear mongers come out on Twitter and say, "Oh my God, this is horrible." Haven't looked at history to say we do this all the time. Doesn't really matter for the markets. And now the market's just about flat. So zooming out, I also got to remind ourselves that we are inside this range right here. So the market hasn't done anything. It's been within like 5% of all-time highs here for a month, right? We had this breakout of this range, but then we just settled into another range. So just to kind of go back in on Mitch's point for calming down, this might not be the day to go crazy because there's nothing really happening. You know, we are pretty much flat across all the accounts or across all the ETFs here. There's nothing I see that's up huge or down huge. Again, poor IWM is down more than most, but that's par for the course at this point. So oil, even if we go to CL, right, gapped up, did the exact opposite of the market, gapped up and just sold down all day. So back inside this range, everything's just kind of hanging out within this tight range. So again, don't go crazy today because you were acclimated to trading $1 million account, and also don't go crazy today because the market's not doing anything, and I don't really think it will. I'm sure you already covered this, but Jay Powell's talking at some point this week, isn't he? I think it is the 23rd. Yeah, I think we've got Goolsby and a bunch of other people speaking. We have home sales, which shouldn't be huge, but we have home sales at 10. We have another number at 9:45. Small numbers, but you know, they could give us something. So be cautious going too crazy before then. We have more Feds just yapping all week long. There's Barkin. What a name. What a name for a guy who likes to talk.
All week long. Barkin.
Chop. So yes, 9:45 and 10. We have two numbers coming out. Not huge numbers, but could be one of those times where we see this all the time. You get some numbers coming out around this 10 o'clock slot. You get these kind of whipsaw moves in the morning. Either we break a pre-market high and sell down, or break a pre-market low and push up. And it's just these algos and everything playing games, waiting for the news to come out, and then we get some sort of trend develop. So all of this is pointing to let's all just take a deep breath and calm down off the open, wait for some patterns to develop, like Jorge just taught us. Take your shots when you can see them. Don't get too aggressive until you do.
Yeah, definitely something to keep in mind. We'll see what happens here towards the open. You got to stay safe out there, traders. And I think it's going to be an interesting time. I think it's very much going to be a couple of stocks that drive us here to all-time highs. It's not going to be all of them, guys. So you have to find the ones that are doing well. I still think we go higher, but there's going to be some names that completely fall out. So just be careful with that, right? I think that you're in for some choppy seas for the rest of the year. I think that maybe we can get to all-time highs, but after that, I don't see too much more for the year. So that's going to be a tough time. Another thing to keep in mind is the situation that's going on in the Middle East with the Strait, right? That's going to be a big focus for shipping stocks. So maybe we start to focus on shipping stocks themselves, right? Zim, different names like that, S-Bulk, right? Will we see a shipping rip, right? These stocks have done things in the past when there's been events with this. So I think that we put these on the radar. We wait to see a spike, right? We don't trade them before, at least for me. I think we wait to see it, right? It's a show me move versus I'm going to run and front run this. But the shipping could be getting a huge spike. And then oil, right? The Baltic index, and I'll tell you the truth, my friend Tak, and I brought this to an economist, and trust me, he kind of put me in my place. He said, this is the most BS index that exists in the world.
There's a good ETF for the shippers, right? You want to guess the You want to guess the ticker?
What is it? Ship? What?
Boat.
Oh,
This is boat. And that's a good way. Not a lot of liquidity, not something to trade, but I think that's a better way to keep an eye on all these, because it has got all your shippers in it, right? Your S bulk, your this or that. So yeah, that is now on my list of ETFs, to kind of my short list to keep an eye on, because I agree. It's a will they won't they about this shipping lane. I know it's one of those everyone's becoming an expert on those as well, but
yeah, I'll tell you, man, Tuck, I brought this up when I made multi-1,000% trades back in 2018, when the shippers were going absolutely insane. I went into, so here's the quick story. Oh, market's open. We'll save the quick story for later, Tuck. We'll talk about that one. Let's get to the markets. Markets are open. Let's have some fun, traders. Stay safe out there. Remember, like we talked about, we might want to be a little simple here out the open and see what happens. HIMS down an insane amount. We'll see if HIMS can bounce back. Crazy move there. Of course, news related, as Nova Disc pulls the plug on them. Will NVO continue higher on this? This is my trade for the day. I actually like this to kind of reverse back to the upside. So I'm watching for it. We'll see what happens.
I've got an eye here on CMPS. Just awful gap down. Lost like half of its value.
Yeah.
But
this is
the VWAP to VWAP move.
This is the psychedelics company, right?
Yeah, they did a phase 3 readout, which seemed good, but it was kind of in line, I think, with what everyone was expecting. So it's a lose type of event.
Put it this way, I've talked to the CEO. I know too much information. I can't even talk about it. This is the first company that I could tell you right now, Michael. I can't even talk about this.
But it's interesting because I'm looking around at the rest of the sector, like MindMed, which you guys know I hold some of. Doesn't care, right? It's not gapping down with it.
Cyber is not moving either, right?
At I think AITI or whatever it is.
Oh man, that one's the worst one.
Yeah, it's even holding up fine. So this is one of those. It tells me if the whole sector was dumping, maybe a little bit more worried. But I just like the fact that it's been under VWAP all morning, which is exactly what I want to see.
Let's go over to Tesla. Tesla making the jump right out the gates there, guys, from 1270s to 1340s. I talked about it, how the robotaxi could just be an easy thing to jump on. And there it is. It's up to the upside. I know everyone was complaining, but there was a safety guy. Guys, people don't care. They only care about that it happened and that it didn't crash into a wall. As long as it didn't crash into a wall, it was all right. Look at that rip. 328 to 337. Right out the gates, boom. What was the top play in the playbook this morning? Tesla, of course, guys. Catch the playbook every single day on this show, 8:30. And then, of course, we talk about it. We put it out on Twitter. Trade idea today, Robotaxi. They didn't disappoint. No disaster, no letdown. So now the big question is, can Tesla keep the rally alive? Ascending triangle setup. We just broke it. Boom. Money's being made right now. Yeah. Now I'd be careful, though, because I think it's going to be quick money being made on this trade. And then you could see a little bit of a pullback later in the afternoon. We'll see what happens there.
Novo has broken VWAP for a little bit. I haven't taken it yet, but I'm watching.
You like that one too? You like that one?
I've got back? Novo. You know me. I'm always trying to fade.
I think irrational gap. I don't know if they already have this, Michael. I didn't get a chance to do the research because it was already I think they announced a D2C model. And that's why they're pulling the plug on HIMS. So they're trying to go more the Lilly route. Remember how Lilly created their platform and then they started doing D2C? I think that's what happens here. More D2C models for healthcare companies, trying to cut out these companies that are coming in the middle and trying to cut them out, essentially.
Yeah, and
HIMS is like your Foot Locker, and this is like your Nike, right?
Yeah, just why not go directly,
like that, right?
A lot of people said that when they did the initial deals, like, why don't you guys just do it, right? But him seems to be one of those. I have it on the list as well. If it ends up breaking VWAP again for the day trade, I think just a lot of this is probably a little overdone.
Man, HIMS, no, I don't think so, man. At least for HIMS, not. Oh man, look at that out the gates.
That's perfect. Yeah, because the lower it is,
another 9% lower.
good. I was another 20% lower, right? Because
No,
then when
but
it
I'm with
breaks
you on
up, it'd be
NVO
good.
is overblown, right? NVO
Yeah.
is overblown. There's no reason for that one to go down as much. But look at the Qs, disaster station here, straight down out the gates here.
Selling off the open here. Yeah.
Hoo,
Now
hoo, hoo.
we talked about we talked calming everyone down, just right. We talked about how we're at yesterday's low still, so we haven't broken that. Talked a little bit about how it's super important to.
This is looking like momentum breakdown. That's what it seems like to me. And I talked about that this morning with HIMS. Would that start the momentum trade breakdown? That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'll be watching for today. That's why I'll be watching things like ARC. It can, if that gets back in the green,
always a good one.
I can trade in the green for growth names today. But other than that, I'm looking for fade on growth names today. We'll see what happens.
So yeah, it's we're getting a good bounce here, and right, just to chill everyone out, we're still like 1% above the post. I'm looking here. Yeah, we're still like a percent if you're looking at the futures above what happened on Sunday night. So, and we've got these two numbers coming up, right? We've got not substantial, but we've got some numbers at quarter two, and then we've got some numbers at 10. So we got to pay attention to those as well. So like I talked about this morning, could be this liquidity flush, get everyone super excited. Then maybe the numbers come in, the algos start buying, that kind of thing. So just kind of everyone chill. Everyone stay
looking for a gush to get down to 26 today, guys. If you can get down to 26, I'm buying oil. I think it's a play off of a strategy I see countless times with oil trades. Even the day that we first the whole Israel and Iran thing started, you guys remember I was looking at Chevron and I talked about Chevron at 145. Perfect dip buy on that day. And what was it? It was a huge dip that closed the gap. Once the gap closed, look for that to start showing strength again. Same thing I would look at in trades today. On those moves higher, fill the gap back down, and then look for it to come back higher. That's how oil trades all the time. It's big moves up, flush them, and then slowly stair step it higher.
By ripping here, back through the opening price. So the SPY is green on the open, not quite the Q's down a little bit from.
Yeah, I think you got to watch the hourly range right here. Hourly range, I think, is going to matter the most here, guys. And so I'm going to be waiting till I get out of this block.
Yeah, I think that's smart. And also those two news events behind, because even if they're not significant news events, there's just a lot of algos and systems that are said, okay, there's news events, wait, and just start trading after. So quite often you see these low volume whippy moves, get everyone hyped, get people sucked in, and then okay, now the news out of the way, now turn on the systems and take the trades that you're actually planning on taking after that.
Yeah, that's why I don't even want to trade right now, because I feel like it's going to be chopped until we get out of this. And what they could do is just chop it, and then make the move higher.
And you don't want to start a Monday. Right. You don't want to start a Monday red because you couldn't wait that first 15 minutes to a half hour for these numbers to get out of the way. So I'm with you. I haven't done anything yet.
Yeah.
I'm just watching
here. I am looking at the list, and I will say that at least the majority of my list red, right? So I will say that. And this list, very few days been weak like this in the last month. And we're talking the quantum names are really getting hit. I talked about that in the pre-market. They came after them at the open. Rigetti, IonQ down big. What's another one? QUBTS. QUBT was already leaking huge right before the open. That's down to 16. So those are those momentum names that really we know it, Michael. They have no fundamentals whatsoever. So when things go down, yeah, they come down fast too, right?
Yeah,
so we'll see what happens.
That's beta, right? So that's the lesson about beta is that if you're trading high beta names and they're working for you, it's great. Same as leverage. And when it's not, sorry.
What about the move you're seeing in Bitcoin and things like that? I think that's a sign of disaster coming. I personally think that it's giving us a leading indicator on pullback. So I'm waiting to see what happens today because it's going to need a big bounce back. Look at where Ethereum went, gapping down. It could close the gap and then come down, right? So that's another way to play it here.
Yep.
It's really hit hard. Look where Ethereum's bouncing off of. It undercut. Will it rally?
Well, that's what I'm thinking here with crypto is maybe it's a little bit of a leader, but generally you're not going to have weeks of leadership, right? It's not going to happen. It's, the market's too fast that it should adapt fairly quickly if there's going to be some sort of a change there. So I would have expected to see this happen a little bit faster if we were going to get the pullback with the market. I think it's just to the point where, because the market's stuck in a range, everything is just going to be moving based off its own accord. If the market pushes through some sort of range, then maybe we can get a sustained move in something. But I think everything until then is right, buy the dip, sell the rip, play the range. And we're coming into summer too. So it unfortunately could last a little bit longer than I think any of us want if it keeps going like this, right?
AMD guys up there now to 132. This has been one of the hottest names, at least I feel like lately, and all over this trade. And man, it's doing really well again today. This is one of the best stocks I think I've seen out there right now. And I'm watching Nvidia to take off with it, guys. So looking to see those two stocks make a move today. Nvidia is still hanging out at the top. Looking for Nvidia to go higher. I don't think it's going to make a big breakout. I think it might go like, still a decent ride up, but I'm looking for outperformance coming for AMD and other names. AMAT's another tech name that I'm looking at on Swing Trade Alert. This just looks pretty. Nice little stock. Could just reclaim this back up to 180s. This is looking awesome. So we'll see what happens there on AMAT and other names. What are you seeing out there, Michael? Coming back to you. Market's coming back here. I'm seeing different names. I'm going to go looking at those small names. I'll let you guys know if I see anything that even makes sense. Maybe IBO being the only one that I'm seeing right now. But
yeah, market's looking great. Pop through now. This kind of not pre-market high is over here at 596.5, but this last little 2-day VWAP, you can see this yellow line, how we bounced and failed 2-day VWAP twice. Now we're above it. So we're above the average price of yesterday and today. Obviously green on the day, did that little kind of liquidity flush, got a lot of people just probably trapped. And now we're pushing. The question is, right, we've got one 5-minute number and then a 15-minute number. Are we just doing the opposite thing where we're just going to get everyone super hyped to the upside and then flush back down? But like both me and Mitch are mentioned, we're just kind of hanging out because we do have these two numbers coming up, right? If I just take everything and sort it by change here and look at the different sectors and how they're doing, Dow, everything here is doing fine except for IWM, which sucks. But again, par for the course on that one. Looking at some of the individual sectors, we have gold miners ripping here right off the open, right from the jump, moving really, really well. Berkshire Hathaway doing fine. Nice little push up there after a little bit of a sell-off when Uncle Warren decided to go on vacation. Boat ETF hasn't moved. Bonds really haven't moved. Most sectors haven't done anything.
Looking for gush on the pullback, guys. CEG, hard move to the upside. That's looking really good there, guys. So I'd keep an eye out on that name as being one of the leaders to the upside. That could help your nuclear trade. NNE recovering 36 today, looking good there. SMR really taking off. That one actually a better daily chart, I think, than NNE, just because it's hanging out on the 9. It's starting to get strong there. It's trying to get back to 40 today. SMR, one to keep an eye out for. In, of course, these nuclear names. NRG is another one pushing strong. Another thing is with all this nuclear talk, right, in war, it's only creating more and more nuclear talk for these stocks. So I think this is what you're seeing the lift coming from, and you could ride these momentums. We'll see what happens. Watching for a move in gush underneath 26 here, and I might take a shot here in oil names. Why? Because this is the exact move I was looking for. Crush it down, bring it through support, then come back.
And look right where it is here, right? So that's where it bounced so far. It's only 2 minutes, but where it bounced so far, that is exactly the 2-day VWAP. So that has today's action in it. That will be an interesting one. Again, market is ripping. I'm seeing my fart coin ripping, so that probably means Bitcoin is ripping. Yeah, Bitcoin just rocket ship here. Did a little flush off the open, pushing quite a bit higher. We've got, everything I'm looking at is going higher. So it looks good. We have a number in 1 minute though. So we do have to be careful. Again, these aren't huge numbers. Again, I just think it's one of those, the market will move after. So
Yeah, I saw that comment about CEG. Not a bad one there. And I agree with you on the trim on LEU. So not a bad move there, Talk. Keep doing your thing, man. Like the comments. That's always good. It helps traders out. And like always, guys, you guys can call out stocks that are moving, things like that. If you see anything, remember, coin was one of my biggest watch in the competition for a move higher. I talked about how it could move because it was chasing and lagging hood. Look at the move that coin did last week, and it's continuing to hold 300 today. Undercuts 300, recovers that 300. Classic move, looking strong here is coin.
Yeah, everything is looking good here. We have that number in 1 minute, so let's bring up the SPY and just see if there's any.
Rail did a nice little undercut
reaction.
That I might take a swing trade on. That got to 50 last week. It's pulled back though because of the healthcare move that we're seeing out there. Just looking around out there, guys, seeing what trades we can get into. Let's get after it.
So the first number didn't really do too much, right? We had a little bit of a pop and a little bit of a drop, but just inside this 10-minute range that we've been in anyway. So nothing huge there. Now we wait for the next one. So we've got that number at 10. That, according to TradingView, is going to be a little bit more impactful, but like we talk about, it's just more about when the systems get turned on. Generally speaking, they'll get turned on after, right? So things will, it's like, hey, robot, wait until this happens. So just taking a look, right? NVO, I'm still interested in. I haven't taken yet just because I'm trying to wait for this kind of first half hour to go by. CMPS just continues to sell, right? So what they said must have been pretty miserable here as it continues to sell off there. A lot of these names I'm getting from the short side too. So HUSA, which is one of these, that's the low float name du jour if you're looking for something crazy to play on the oil space. I know the kids love this stuff. That one's selling just a little bit here, just breaking through VWAP. So that would be an official trigger as well. Again, if I had the guts to do it, which I don't. Again, I just want to see these numbers out of the way. I want to just, like we talked about, kind of reacclimate myself to real trading versus swinging $1 million account around for fun, and then go from there. So,
all right, guys, got a swing trade on here in HIMS. I'm short there. I'm going to actually put something in the green here to make sure if I get this trade. I swung hard on the swing account. I'm trying to get this swing account, guys. I keep getting up about like $300, $400 and not being able to go for like a big win. So I'm going for one right here. I'm up already $100 here. Let's see what happens. What I did is I put the stop in the green already. I was like, if I take this trade, make sure that it immediately gratification, and there I'm out. I was up like $100 there, but it just popped back here on HIMS. So the idea was a VWAP fade, right? But it needs a fade here. And I have a EMA that's rejecting off this 4640s. It could still reject under 46 there. I had gotten short there 4623, 4604. It went down there to 4670s, bounced right back to 46. I'm out. I took the break even out, right? Because I'd rather have, and then I ended up getting $27. But I didn't even think, that's not going to count as a real trade. That's just a breakout, right? So we'll see what happens here. Now I think it could push back there to 48s and 50s. I'll be looking for a short later in HIMS. I have no problem playing it. Now I'm going to look for an hourly candle up to then get short later on. We'll see what happens.
Well, my setup in HIMS, you guys know it, would just be for it to break VWAP. If it breaks VWAP later in the day.
Q's going high. They're trying to break it, trying to push it.
Yeah, everything is looking fantastic here. We just need to stick the landing, and we need to have whatever numbers coming up, not screw anything up. So that would just be fantastic.
Still seeing quantum down big, though. That's one area that hasn't gotten the bounce. I mean, QUBT at least got a little bounce there, but a lot of the other ones still down big. Tesla's still doing well there, up about 3.32%. To 338s, man, pushing higher. Smart move there in HIMS, guys. You see, I would have got run over if I stayed in it there, right? And so it was more like it's either just going to completely collapse right there and go to 40, or I thought it was just going to get the bounce. Now it's on that bounce game. Now it's come back to hourly resistance, looking somewhere between 55 and 53.
Nice push on him. So I think VWAP is right above us at pretty much 48. And so you just got to look and see what happens there. Does it come out, reject that VWAP and just sell off, or is that something that we actually get a little bit stick the landing on, get something cool happen? But SPY's at highs, Qs are highs, everything's trying to break out. We're at the pre-market high on SPY, a little bit under the pre-market high in the Qs. So it's like you just got to see, can they break and hold that pre-market high? I do think there was probably a lot of people who got bearish because they think the market reacts off of news and geopolitical events, which I think now we can all just put to rest does not. So those people might be forced to cover a little bit here if we end up really get going. You know, how many people were shorting, especially Friday, how it looked a little bit ugly there, thinking that, okay, if we're going to have some bad Middle Eastern stuff, maybe that will push the market, but it's just not the way the market moves. So they might get covered and run over, which would be a nice little short squeeze.
Yeah, I mean the last 2 weeks have been red, right? I think that's also what we're seeing is the upside is not as prominent, right? Or even if you're trading long, you might not be winning as much as you were, right? I think that's one thing that we've noticed. We've been sideways. We've been stuck.
Yeah. We've been stuck, in a range. Right? We've been 3% from all-time highs for I think a month and a half now. So and we're definitely range bound. We're not getting sell-offs, we're not getting rallies, we're just getting
OP on alert here, guys. Shipper setup here. OP first shipper that I see with a setup for a launch off. I'm definitely going to try to trade this through the 250 here. If this thing goes and sends, we'll see what happens there. Just keeping this on the radar here. Through the 250, I think is the big watch there for me. I'll put a stop there, a stop entry. If it comes for it, I'll get it. Just putting it out there. Also putting out an order on Gush. It's just sitting there. It could get filled any moment here. So those are the two names that I'm looking at right now. Oof, Gush missed my entrance by literally 2 pennies. So I might have to step up here. You know how I hate those, man. It literally avoided my entrance. That's what it did there. I hate stepping up, dude. I hate stepping up. I hate chasing, guys. I like to let the trade come to me a lot of the times with these dip buys, right? If I'm going to buy the low or what I think is a low, I need it to be more closer towards the low so that I can risk below the low of the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I go and I buy that spike really quickly, now I'm risking essentially what I wanted to risk below the price action. So I want to risk like 10 cents here, but if I get in too close to 10 cents up, I'm essentially risking the low of the day, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if we're a little bit on pause for the next until we hit that another number in 8 minutes, but
utilities, real estate doing really well, basic materials. So let's start looking at different trades that you wouldn't look at. Gold taking off there. Gold staying strong and looking good today, guys. So if you're looking for a trade, gold stays hot here.
SPY attempting to break through that pre-market high here. It hasn't really moved anywhere in the last 10 minutes or so.
Ooh,
so
AU looks like a good trade today, guys, in gold. Big breakout.
So I'm watching very, very close. Fed Bowman speaks at 11. Oh, so we got a Fed yapper on top of this number that's coming out. So
we got a yapper.
So just pay attention. I don't even know if I've ever heard of Bowman, so it probably doesn't matter that much. But
all right, guys, trying to get a fill here in Gush here. I'll let you know if I get the fill.
So SPY is right at pre-market highs and kind of just dancing a bit. So nice.
Just to Gush there, guys. Trying to call the bottom here on Gush. Of course, I'm not going to go too crazy on the size. I'm just going to stick to first entry here, 500 shares, 25.76. Want to risk about 10, 15 cents here. Let's see what happens.
I wanted to wait until that next number, but I actually did get into some NVO. It's been triggering. You can see all the blue arrows. It's been, yelling at me to buy all morning. I've been ignoring all morning, but I just liked how it was basing right here at VWAP. Didn't challenge, didn't try to take out pre-market lows. Wasn't having that. Just wanted to kind of hang out here. So if we get, you can see NVO just popping up right there to trigger again. So another green arrow. So I did just get involved a little bit here. Again, we'll draw it out.
One that
right
popped
there.
earlier, just to mention, guys, I apologize for not mentioning
Yep.
it earlier. Husa popped to 25. Just one to keep an eye out. All right, oil talk, but keep going, my friend.
Yeah, so NVO is just, this would be about a 2-to-1 risk reward, right? I'm going to risk, you could either risk to the low of the pre-market, which would make it a 1-to-1. Low of the day would be kind of a 2-to-1, just to see if we get a little bit of a pushback. Is this NVO Novo Nordics with HIMS? Is that news just maybe a little bit overdone, right? That's the idea behind this setup, is gap down. There's some numbers, there's some studies on there that quite often gap ups are a little bit overdone, gap downs are a little bit overdone. So just trying to play with those statistics and get a little bit of a fade. So far, so good. I'm actually taking these as well in that account that I won. So I just think it'd be a cool story if I won an account from a free competition and then got funded on that free account. And then I think that would just be a cool story. So
let's keep it moving, guys. Let's find the trade.
HUSA, you just mentioned about that, triggered to the short side. You can see right here. I didn't have the guts to take it at that time, but it's coming down to the 2-day VWAP and this big pre-market range. So if you're someone who's interested on buying this thing, might be an interesting place to take a look. So 2-day VWAP sitting right at $20. And if it gets down to that $20, right, you can see it's also the pre-market range. So something we talked about a little bit that I want to start focusing on as well. And I say we, because I want to include you guys in the room, is add a 2-day VWAP to your charts and just see how many times a gap down comes and taps that 2-day VWAP and then bounces. And if it's something that happens frequently, that might be a revision to the mean play. Instead of chasing the gap higher, let's wait till it comes to its 2-day VWAP. Let's pick it up there, see if there's some edge to be had there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Q's hanging out a little bit now, pushing to 528s. Can they keep it going? We'll see what happens. We're running into that level soon in a little bit here for the reversal action. We'll see what happens.
4 minutes to that number. So
looking good in Gush so far, guys. I'm about $50 up, but I'm not trying to take this, right? I'm trying to expand a little bit more and drive a little bit more on profits. We'll see what happens here. Big ideas for this to recover VWAP. We'll see what happens if Gush can recover VWAP. Once it's back through 26 or 26.10, I might take an ad and then just risk right below it, like 25.85. But I'm really looking for a 26.33 recovery.
Yeah, nice little push there. So yes, just going to the economic calendar. 3 minutes, existing home sales, which is considered a 3-star event, and
no one cares.
like tax said. So yeah, a Fed guy speaks. So what do? You look at Lennar or Home Depot or something?
Not even, man. Not even. These things are not events.
But like we talked about, it could be one of those, right? I know if I'm programming a bot and I see numbers come up, I'm saying just wait till the numbers are done. You're a robot. You could be patient. So just wait till they're done and then turn them on and then start to see if there's some sort of movement from there.
Yeah, I don't think the problem with that number is that it's very even real estate doesn't like that number, the way that they calculate it and things like that. So it's very a number that's not taken into account in a lot of decision making. I even saw that they do like a running average off of these, and that's what they use more. They're running like a longer term like average of these datas, and then they look at that. So that's the reason why they don't really care, because it comes so frequently, and then it's like you'll get random surprises in the data that way. And when it's so frequent, that's a good and bad thing, right? It can cause overreactions for no reason. So they'll take like a 4-week average of this, and then they'll look at it and see, okay, this is at least trending in that area. There's a lot of numbers that we have, guys, that are just badly taken, the data.
Well, anything that, if you ever hear survey data says, ignore
horrible
that entirely,
data, right? It's almost funny that it exists still to this day, right?
Well, you got to think about who answers surveys, right? Like who
answers them truthfully, like
well, and you've got your busiest, smartest people out there that don't have to answer the surveys. Do you think they're taking time out of their day to answer government surveys? Like,
that's exactly what I do. I just sit on my desk and make government surveys.
Wait for the government to call so I can talk to someone for it. Like, no, these people they're doing stuff, right? They're trying to make things happen. So
Yeah, look at this AEVA, man. Can't stop, man. Can't stop.
No,
Can't stop, dude.
rip.
It just can't stop. It's crazy to me, this name. Well, this was the trade for me, guys. So I'm still staying in it right now. I'm just trying to be patient, trying to see if the buyers are going to step back in. I felt like I played it the right way, though. At least
Spy through
played it the right
pre-market
way.
high. Spy through the pre-market high. Qs not yet. So you can see why the SPY is doing so well versus the Qs. We're getting a lot of health care is doing amazingly. Finance is doing awesome. So that's why we're getting that outperformance in the SPY versus the Q today. Is if you look here at your technology sectors, they're kind of mixed. They like meh, up or down 1%.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of green, which means over 1% up in the different sectors here. So yeah, it's not just a tech rally.
Good.
Tech's not leading. Whoa, there we go. Big spike there, right off that number. Nice push up that got us through the pre-market high on the SPY and the Qs. So, question is now, do we stick the landing? Right? Can we hold that pre-market high break? If so, man, look at Tesla. Yeah, holy smokes, Tesla ripped there as well.
Dude,
That's
crazy.
Guys.
Man, I'm annoyed that I didn't catch the Tesla trade. I just wasn't watching it out the open. That's just my fault, but it's part of the top of the playbook for a reason.
15% up today. This TSLL, if you took
this is a buy the open trade. Buy the open. Especially when you're such a close action right before the bell, right on the trend line, they just broke it through it. Right?
Yeah.
Like so there was
in this daily chart
triangle. Yeah.
Yeah, this daily chart looks amazing. When you have
beautiful.
You have this liquidity grab, whatever you want to call it, but this massive down move that just got retraced in 2 days, and then it consolidates. Everybody who shorted into this move or sold out into this move, they were very wrong, and they have to get right quickly. So if these consolidations break, they move from there. The perfect example of this, the one I always like to point to recently, was ASTS. Like this was. You can see it happened right here. You find a really defined support area that gets broken and reclaimed quickly. Sometimes that can be a massive slingshot to move higher. I think that's what we saw there in Tesla. Is you had the breakup, the bromance breakup. Everyone got afraid. Right back up. No one really cared in the long run. And you can see it all happen just right at this support zone. Well, so you don't want to just take these randomly, soft, but right there.
Elon, you got soft on me, man. You got soft.
The bromance was over, and now we're back through. We're getting to 350. Over that is got a lot of resistance. 360 here.
I've never seen someone scare Elon. Trump, you did it somehow. I don't know how you did it. Well, what words you said, what threats you made. I'll tell you. I
control the military. Is probably all the.
I mean, he completely look at. Anything that Elon has ever fought against, he's never changed his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Never. He's the type of guy that when he decides something, he just sticks to it and finishes it. And so in this case, he was like all about the government trying to make it efficient, right? He battled that against the tax bill. That's what he's supposed to do, right? He spent so much time of his effort to kind of get the government to be efficient. But yeah, he bended. I think it all had to do with the robo-taxi day coming up.
Could have been, yeah, because it was hinging a lot on that for sure.
OP right? Long, guys. OP long triggered on the shipping port stock. OP here, guys. OP ripping higher here, guys. OP. So you guys know how I like these smaller names. NVO is still working well. I don't know if you have that trade on, Michael.
Still do.
I like it. I really do. But there's OP trying to get through the 260s, trying to get back up to the 270s. If it hits the 270s, I might add here and go for the win. Let's see what happens on OP. OP, guys. I'm up on Gush. I'm up on OP. Let's go. Let's go trading, traders.
You see, it's right. OP's here right at the 1 and 2 day VWAP. So through that, it could really get going there. And yes, I have my NVO on. Now that I think everything's out of the way, we can start to see the trend. So what I want to see ideally is actually a pullback here into this pre-market high. So we just slammed through it on that number. We had a nice, nearly a 0.2% push just right on that number. And then now if we come back and test this 595, 596.50, 596.50 right here. That'll be interesting. Through here, unfortunately, we're just in the middle of yesterday's range. So it's to the point now where you got to mark yesterday's high and yesterday's low and, pay attention to those. So yesterday's high is way back up here at 599. It's got like almost 600 even. And then yesterday's low is at 592. So those are the two areas to watch. It's been an active day, but yeah, we're inside here, right?
Sorry, just laughing at Rando's comment in the chat. Yeah, that would scare the hell out of me too.
Yeah.
Rando, I don't know if you caught it, but
yeah, go to El Salvador. For
he said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you want to go to El Salvador for vacation?" Good Lord, that would scare the crap out of me too. I'd be like, "Yeah, Trump, anything you need, my friend."
Because he just really shut up. You didn't hear. I haven't heard anything from Elon.
He deleted messages.
That's big, yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a difference between you shutting up and going and backtracking, right? You only backtrack when you're scared of something.
Yeah, which is so weird because Twitter, no one goes back on your Twitter to check stuff like that. So yeah, you need to. I didn't want to have it
Gush
there.
Coming down here, guys. I might have to get rid of Gush here. I want to hold it here, but I'm just gonna give it a little bit of room here. Willing to do what? Cut out, get back in during the day. At some point, I feel like this can still run. I gotta set the limit, 25.52. I'm setting it. I'll still add if it gets back to the VWAP. We'll see what happens.
So yeah, I'm taking CMPS, I think, off the list. So the reason is, I'll show you guys, is that right, I'm always trying to go from VWAP to VWAP. But what happens is when you have a move that's so bad like this and high volume, it just mathematically pulls both of the VWAPs down together. So now if I were to buy on a breakthrough VWAP right here at 279, well, then my target's only 309. My stop would be way higher than that. So it's just no sense in taking that at all. So again, it's one of those, would be nice, but just not something I can take here. You could just guess that maybe this selling is going to run out. We're now down. It's now lost half of its value from yesterday. But that's just not me. So yeah, so that's one of those why you kind of, you keep poking around. You try to take these things because sometimes you just got to look at it and say, oh yeah, no, the risk reward profile here is no longer favorable to me. So bye-bye. I'm going to remove you from my screen and I'm just not going to look at you anymore. So I'm actually going to replace that chart too with Bitcoin, which holy smokes. Yeah, just ripping here with the overall market up pretty big here in this like 2%.
That's why I think it's so important to watch as an indicator, guys. That's why I talked about it, how
market ripping.
What was going to happen. Bitcoin is leading. It is leading, guys. It led down. It also is leading back up. It's going to be more volatile than the market overall because it can trade 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So it will have that downside. But you saw how the market reacted today, and then now Bitcoin following it, right? So I think that's one thing that we got to be an understanding of. Bitcoin's going to start being used as what? Hedges for long sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened there. They used it as a hedge for the long side there. And that's why you probably saw some cracking and then things right back. AMD, there you go, man. Go get that AMD, man. I love it, but I'm not touching it anymore. You guys can ride it up, guys. I called it for 116. At this point, I hate chasing, so I just let it go, and you guys can continue to ride that wave.
Yeah, SPY just cannot stop here. Now, just to, again, temper everyone's expectations, we're still inside yesterday's range. Oh, yeah. This just massive opening drive. It may be one of those days where this is it, right? You get a massive opening drive in the morning, and then things start to consolidate as well, right? So just pay attention to that. We may at some point just break into a pretty tight consolidation here. Obviously, it doesn't look like we're going to get the retest of the breakout that we just kind of smashed right through it, right? This seems very buy program. We talked about this in the morning, that if you have a robot, you're just going to wait for all the numbers to be out of the way. And now that ever since that happened, right at 10, you can see every candle, the low is higher than the one below it. And just saying that there's something just buying on every kind of dip. So unless, what was it, Bowman or Goolsby or whichever guy is yapping now says something bad, I think we're doing all right. So
I just love the continued mentions of, oh, no. But now we're looking at maybe possible cuts. But then you get this oil scare. There's no way they're cutting. There's no way in flipping hell they're cutting rates, guys. They just cannot. If they're scared to oil, they can't do it. They literally can't do it. If you guys remember, right? The number one reason inflation went up in the first place was not necessarily the food at the store. No, it was oil, right? It was oil that led inflation higher.
Well, yeah, and oil, because oil has a trickle-down effect, right? It makes things faster or more expensive to ship, and then more expensive to get to the store, and then, right,
liquidity
like
grab happening in OP.
Right?
Let's see if it comes back here. I'm going to set a stop in a second here, 228s, but it needs to come back with the liquidity. Liquidity moves happening right now in OP. Let's see if it actually gets the buy needed. I saw some size did get filled there on that pullback, so I'm looking to see if it just rips back through the 250 here. 255 or 260s is the add for me. Only going to add when winning, right? That's what I want to be doing. But also looking for these liquidity moves and not being scared about them, almost expecting them. Here it comes. Let's see what happens on the remove back up.
Yeah, a little bit of a pause here, a little bit of a rest in the SPY, right? It had been ripping all day, so a little bit of a downtick I don't think should worry anyone.
Yeah.
Again, my thing is that it, right? Because again, the daily chart, you always got to look at the daily chart. Yes, we're up big, and I would say being up 0.5% is even more significant considering all of the dooming that was going on over the weekend. People getting really, really worried, and
you can't blame them, Michael. The only thing you can do is make money on them, Michael. That's what I would tell you. One of the things is sometimes you're going to feel some way, and the only thing you can do is make money on the other side, right? So I think you continue to play it that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and study history. When something happens that is a big event, just go back and look, see what happened the last
people just
times. Right?
Some people just they actually read the news, right? So I think that's a differentiating factor, right? And that's the hard part. It's the part that I have of kind of running and bringing in the news, right? Like, I'll tell you right now, guys, there's some news that I wouldn't pay attention to that I have to report because that's just what I do, right? Like I report, I'm part of the financial media, and until financial media changes and ignores that stuff, we have to report it. So you need to do as a trader is understand what are the trading implications versus the headlines implications. This is the number one thing that I think traders need to understand a little more of. And Rando, saying it again, saying it loud, opening range breakouts. Can't blame you, my friend. Keep trading them. If they work for you, keep trading them. That's what I'll say.
It's a very good style. It's got like a lot of good styles. I think it's good to talk about too when we were talking about the contest. Is I've tested the ORB on the Qs. It's got a negative win rate, which means it's wrong more often than it's right, but it makes money. So this goes to show you just take your hit and you move on.
Trade Ideas has a opening range breakout scanner. If you want to kind of get that and use that, Rando. It's just a tip that I'll give you that I've seen it because I know a lot of you guys are looking for things, or you can code your own opening range breakout, right? With AI nowadays. So I tell you to take a look into that, Rando, and look forward to more conversations on how you guys can use AI to really adjust and do things like this, right? Opening range breakout, definitely something that can be kind of coded in. So.
Yeah, well, that's how I think Rando actually does is he's got a little coded script in TradingView, right? And it's one of those. It's one of those strategies I think a lot of people don't use because it seems too simple to work. But it's funny enough, the way it normally happens is that's the best strategies, the ones that are just so insanely simple that people don't believe they'll work. And like I talked about, it's not like it's an ungodly strategy that's right every time. The beauty of doing that testing, and I know this is like Rando kind of exclusively trades this, and why he does so well, is because even if he hasn't back tested it, he's got enough numbers for himself that he knows in the long run he makes money. So that would make it way easier if you take the opening range break 5 days in a row and you lose on 4, and you go, that's okay, right? Every now and then, I'm going to get a day like today, which, if we mark the opening range, pretty much nothing happened and then just exploded through it, right? So, yeah, it's huge.
Looking around here, trying to find some trades out there. AEVA straight up out the gates now, 14% higher, man. What a move. What a move. Another big breakout to the upside.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that. One red candle right here all day. One red candle, and just
it was a fast one out the gates.
What a push.
That was a big move there, but this one just can't stop, won't stop.
NVO is grinding here. I keep forgetting that this one's an ADR, which is probably why it's been grinding like this so much. So it may not do much of anything. But that's fine, right? What you
need is the next news. The next
lock
news,
in a
right?
Stop, right?
I think in this case, you're gonna get maybe some news flow in this stock. Out there on OP, they hunted me fast to that 27. Just put it out like maybe 2 seconds ago, and look how quickly they hunt you, man. Oh man, they hunt you fast there if you put it out there. I hadn't put it out at all, and it quickly went to that 27. So don't put it out there sometimes. That's just what I would say. Sometimes a mental stop is as good as a stop as it is. We'll see if it comes back there through the 250. That's going to be my trigger to get back into this name. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and again, you can see, so how I deal with names like this, I just, raise my stop up under this low. So now it's gone from being any sort of substantial risk to near zero. I think I'm risking like $20 on the trade for my own personal account, which is nothing. And then now I don't care. I don't care if it grinds, right? The only thing it's doing now is occupying buying power. So the only time I'll look at it again or think about really killing it early is if I need that buying power for something. If another trade comes through and that trade's more interesting to me, well then, right, I need that buying power. I'll take the trade. And other than that, just put out your stop and let it work. Could all still get up here, which would be a decent little 3% move. Had massive gap down on that HIMS news. So we'll see from there. So HIMS, I'm still watching, but this is the beauty of just waiting this systematic trading. I just sit and wait for an alert. If I don't get an alert, if HIMS sells off all day, totally fine. If it has found some sort of low here and it wants to get back through VWAP, that's great. That's still a massive move from VWAP to VWAP. It's about 13%.
All right, guys, taking a little bit of some Chevron. Just going to play it on the bounce here. 1 hour recovery type of style. We'll see what happens. It's on the swing. I still got the gush on, but I took a swing a little bit there in Chevron.
Yeah. Nice looking little move there.
HIMS is going right back down, but I'm not going to be able to play that one today. It just bounced back. It didn't get to the 50.
Yeah, I don't think it's...
The 46 cut would have been the pre-entry for me, but I didn't play it on that.
This could just do this now. I've seen this happen quite often when the news is that big. You just kind of, that's it. That's all there is. So you just kind of, it takes a gap down. It did a little bit of a run off the open. Now it just chops around all day. So sometimes these are great not to, just to make sure that you're not going too crazy with them just because the news is out there. Because the news is out there when it was 63 and now it's at 45. So everyone kind of knows it's been digested a little bit. We just need to see kind of what happens if it can move at all, if it can do whatever. But until then, when it's range bound like that, I'm just not super interested in it.
All right, guys, starting to see Chevron and Gush looking better. I added there to Chevron, got 200 shares at 149.85, looking to see if it can get back over 150s really and start coming back. Volume coming in too, so that's at least a good sign that I'm coming in at the right time. Now I can use maybe the 149.60s here and really look to see if this really just wants to run.
Yeah, nice looking. Look at where that stopped too, right? CVX, that's the 2-day VWAP right there.
Hourly support right around the same area. So confluences of levels, and that could be the move. So
yeah, it just adds a level to it, for sure.
All right, looking a little bit better here on Chevron. Let's see if we can go for the 150 move. Gush too. I want to start seeing it start to push back above 26. You could take a look at just oil price overall. You can see how it's down here, and I expected the full support test, and now it's looking for it to come back. TSLL up 15%. Oh my God, man. These guys that were shorting this today just don't know how to trade, man.
No,
don't know how to trade, man. This is that one where it's like, man, like don't mess with a stock that's a little bit of a dragon, right? If it's a stock that it doesn't have this ability of ripping higher, then yeah, you can maybe step in on it on a day like today. But I think stepping in on it today would have been the move, maybe if the event was actually today, but the event happened in an off market time for a reason.
That's and it's the whole, we all know how quickly the market just programs in news now. The second it happens, they're programmed in. So you get a news event and it's in the market. And the market just reacts so fast now. So if you get a news event that happens Saturday and you think that's going to have a huge effect on Monday, then I don't know if that's the ticker, if that's the move.
I don't know what the heck happened there. For some reason, I got to sell one share on my swing. Got to look into that. I'll look into it later.
We got some people looking to chat about. We already went over the winners, but maybe we should.
We're doing 10:30.
Well,
10:30.
right?
We'll do the review here, guys. Let's give it another 5 minutes here. Maybe 10:25. We'll kick things off on the competition talk. So stick around, guys. If you want to hear a little bit more about the winners, we've already announced it earlier at 9 a.m. But we'll go ahead and we're going to re-announce it here, and we'll talk a little bit more about our winning trades and some trades that we were able to really kind of kick it. So definitely check it out, guys. Coming up.
Not only that, we had an interview with one of the winners. That was great.
Yeah.
And if you were a winner outside the Discord, you already got your email. I got my email on Friday. So,
there you go.
So I've actually got that account going, and I talked about how I'm trying to take all these trades in like a bunch of accounts, my personal account, and then because I just think it'd be a super cool story if I end up passing this eval account based off of going into a competition, winning the competition, winning an account, and then passing it as well, right? So
we'll see which one's still higher here. I'm still watching that OP. I got out. I will willing to get back in it later. I might even take a swing trade on that thing. I'm looking for the shipping imports to kind of rip off, man, because it would just make sense. Like the most crappiest stocks are going to make a huge move, right? Well, that just how the market works, guys. So a lot of times, like you can try to make things difficult, and I think that this is where it's like I'm not going to pay attention to what these companies even do, even if they're in the Middle East. I don't even care as long as they move. So I'm going to be watching those shipping stocks and looking for them. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and it's one of those, right? So this Ocean Pal's up 52%, and like we talked about, the market just is pricing in news quite a bit, but this $2, $2.10, a huge support here. It was support once, twice in the pre-market, and then right off the open there, and now as well. So this might be an interesting one. If it holds, maybe we get a little bounce. If it breaks, maybe it falls apart, fills some of that gap. It's wild that it's up 50%, but then you look at the daily chart, and it's not that big of a deal. It's just back where it was a couple days ago. So this is a crazy one for sure. Massive surge back here from 65 cents to like $2, and then just chopping around there.
All right, guys, we'll see what happens there. The battle's still on, guys. I'm still seeing some buying coming in to Gush, so I'm still hanging out.
Yeah, SPY is just
step up there,
grinding its way back up to pre-market high, but it's getting slower. So this is one of those don't really chase the momentum too
Yeah,
hard.
all it did was just bring the daily back to the 9 EMA. So still rejection levels, right? I think until we get back above 600, I'm going to find it hard to play like longs, like for like a long period of move, right? I'm looking for it to get over that 600.
It's the chop, right? We've just done nothing from, we're at the exact price we were in May, in the middle of May. So we're just kind of consolidating, which again is still playable. It's one of the benefits of day trading. Just means you take your money. If you're a swing trader,
money and run.
Yeah, if you're a swing trader, you got to take it, right? When you get a great little rip, you take that money, you put it in your pocket, because on the way up to get through these prior highs, we're probably going to have a lot of hiccups and pushes down on the way through. And then, all-time highs we have up here as well. So at 615, so we got to get through there.
All right, guys, looking around to see where's the moves, what's going to happen out there. Look to see if oil can make its way back now. It's done the 4 bottoms that I look for a lot of the time. So now I'm going to start looking for the strength to really start coming back in. Shouldn't see the low of the day break again here. That's a 25.44. Definitely don't want to see that break now. Now we'll look for it to start rising back.
Mm-hmm. That NVO, kind of the only thing I got going on right now. Still slowly grinding, just it's slow. So I'm just kind of going to put a trend line or something on it and just raise my stop up. Nice little winner. I'll take it. It's a little bit boring, but I think a little bit boring it's just fine. It's just totally fine being especially after the craziness of last week, trading hundreds, thousands of dollars, down tick, an uptick, right? I'm okay making like $100 here or there, just in a nice, chill, slow way.
That's all you can do sometimes.
Trading should be boring, I always say, right? The people who come in and they're like super excited or super mad or whatever, you kind of know they're going to struggle. And again, Jorge was a great example. He won the competition, made 150% in 3 days. We were talking to him. The guy was cool as a cucumber. It's like, oh, that was fun. Won $100,000 account, but just, again, super chill about it. And you notice that if you look at like Dennis Dick we had on, I was going to say Kenny, but he's going to be the exception, I think, here instead of the rule. Dave Mabe, who's co-host my podcast we had on, is systematic trader. All these people are like really, really chill because they just know what makes for better trading is to not get super excited when you're right, get super mad when you're wrong. Even keel, you can say. This is what tax agreeing. Yeah, you usually quiet in your office. That's the thing. Is I used to, when I worked at a physical prop firm, you would see it as well. The guy who came in and was like shouting at his screen and running all over the office when he made money, all the pro traders would look at him and go, "That's nice, buddy. You'll be gone soon. Just wait." The guy who I remember, you'd look at the leaderboards and there was one guy, I don't know if I said more than 2 words from him, came in, had a hoodie on with his hood up the whole day, barely moved, barely said anything, left. Consistently the top earner in the prop firm. He just had a thing that he did. He came in every day and he focused and he did it and then he left. You'll notice it over and over again with traders.
It's one thing I heard. It's an interesting perspective to have. And whenever you do a task, any task, whether it be kids, adults, whatever you may be, think about it this way. If you did that task again, would someone hire you or would they fire you?
Mm-hmm.
Things to think about. So as you take trades, right, maybe end your day and ask yourself this one question. If you were a prop owner, right, the owner that runs the desk, right,
hedge fund manager or something like that,
hedge fund manager, whatever the role that you're at, but you run the desk, right? Would you hire that trader again or would you fire that trader? Think about those things. If you really do, you're going to start realizing there's days where you would fire yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And why would that be? Because you're not doing it the right way. And there's going to be days where you'll hire yourself and you'll be like, yeah, that's how you do it. I want this guy on my team.
And that shouldn't be tied to making or losing money, right? Because if I'm
not the idea, yeah.
Right. If I'm a hedge fund manager, what I want from my trader is him to be able to go and faithfully execute my plan, with little to no deviation, with little to no errors, record everything he did perfectly and present it to me. And whether it made money or not, it's over the time. If my strategy as a PM will work out, then we'll make money. But there'll be issues along the way. So judge yourself based off of your plan and how well it was executed, right? Michael says your also seem chill except when you talk to perm bears. Perm bears just kind of trigger me, right? Because people want to sound smart, and it's like they try to be bearish all the time with all the reasons to be bearish. And I just worry about. I was talking to a guy who's actually a pretty well-known trader, who's been bearish for so long. He's been sitting on for the past like 5 years, like $1 million worth of cash. And I'm like, if you had just had that in the market and just shut out all the noise and did nothing else, you'd be up $500,000 at that point. And but it's one of those, the perma bears got him. So I told him to delete Twitter as fast as he could. I'm hearing some.
Especially if you have a lot of money, I think that there's a problem there. I think when you have a little bit amount of money, I understand why you're getting out of the market. You just can't take pain.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of traders can't take pain, Michael. And I think that's one thing that traders need to learn more of. How can I take pain and handle it?
What's it called? Best Loser Wins. I love this book by Tom Horgoff. And he talks all about that, about how, find the book here. Best Loser Wins. And his whole idea is that, here it is here. The guy who learns to take his hits better and to deal with that pain, and that everything that most traders, and especially losing traders, do is to avoid pain. Whether it's selling too early. If you're selling too early, you're avoiding the pain of it coming back. If you're if you end up not taking a stop loss, it's because you don't want to take the stop loss, because that will cause pain. So I couldn't agree with you more, right?
I like it, guys. Check it out, guys. Best Loser Wins, right? So
there's an audiobook for us busy people, so you can
that's the only way I'm gonna do it, man.
That's the only way.
The only way with the audiobook membership. Another great tip for all you guys out there. Maybe, I don't know if they have this as good in Canada as they do in the United States, but a lot of your local libraries have audiobooks that you can get for free versus spending the money, right? And so just take a look to see if maybe it's there before you spend the money.
Which is so weird, because it's like, you have to return this. Like, what do you mean? Like,
it's
the way it goes thing, is
right?
It's like you're not allowed to, with ours anyway. I think the difference is you're not allowed to like download it outside of their app to get like a physical version. But could not, that book, a lot of the trading psychology books are amazing. I could not recommend more. And it should be something that you do when you're doing the dishes, when you're mowing the lawn, when you're walking the dog, right? What Audible's like $15 a month.
100%, man.
Put some AirPods in, and
and also look around, right? Like I just did, right? Like Michael mentions a book there. I'll add it to my list, at least keep there. There's going to come a time where maybe I'm not reading the book that I specifically wanted to read, or I knock out a book and I'm looking for the next. Well, I'll add this one to the list. And I think it's so important, guys. This is the way that you are able to continue to grow and level up. Even trading books are on there, guys. So take a look at that. I think you guys will enjoy it.
Yep.
All right. Catching up there, of course. Let's go ahead. Let's have our time to talk about the competition here, guys. We're going to take a moment here, talk about the competitors, winners, right? Let's go ahead. The winner announcement here, kicking off, guys, of course. And you guys see scrolling down at the bottom, everyone will be receiving a coupon for 5% by mail, but you needed to be actively trading the competition, of course. So definitely take a look into it. We'll talk about it. Let's kick things off with our winnings. And definitely let's start first here with the top P&L winners. Let's talk about it here as boom. There you guys see the list here, really kicking things off here. And we had Jorge join us, the winner of the competition. You guys see him here at the top, $1.5 million made on the competition. Not that he only made 500. He made 1.5. That is absolutely insanity. Also, Napong here with also 1.48. So not a small feat by any chance, guys. I think if you were able to break the 1 million mark, I mean, completely out of the waters, right, for this competition, guys. So shout out to anybody that did that. And you guys see here, my man Michael Noss showing up there, 909, 340. Not bad at all there. Definitely congratulations to you guys out there that made the top 10 P&L by performance. Don't forget, we were a team, and you guys helped out the most. That's what I will say. So, hey, congratulations to you guys if you guys were able to make the list there. And definitely shout out to you. You helped the competition. You showed your skill. And best of all, you learned that you could trade with that amount of money. The key though, how could you trade and risk manage that in the future, right? That's what these tests are for. And it's a good way to test your skills, right? Then you can go and actually start working its way up, right? In live funded money, right? Mm-hmm. So go get those funded accounts and see if you can repeat the strategies. That's all that matters now. I think that's the important thing, is finding your strategies that you're going to go ahead and work, whether that be your systems and you're doing that with, bots, or whether you're doing that on your own thing. Find what works for you, what you can repeat, and what can actually win you the cash. And like Jorge said right there, you guys heard him that he's battling with funded accounts. He's also opening up new evals as he has funded accounts. He takes moments away from funded accounts. He goes to the evals. He goes, kills it, gets another funded, adds it to the back, and then just keeps playing with the funded money, because that's how he gets a lot of money to play with, right?
When I like that he does that, he always says that if he's struggling at all, which again all traders do, if you're struggling at all with your funded account, he goes and he buys an eval and he says, okay, let me trade that. Let me get let me get that out of my way. Let me get, my brain kind of recentered. Let's get all that going on. And then I'll go back to my funded accounts and try to, dig that out, because that's so key. Anywhere you go and they say, oh, I make money all the time and everything's amazing. It's not it, right? It's real traders know that
not nowhere where you want to stick around.
Real traders know sometimes good, sometimes bad, right? You gotta take the good with the bad. You gotta make sure that you're you have a plan for when things get bad. And I really like that idea, because listen, if you're trading your own account, you're not doing too well, taking $100 and buying an eval, that's probably going to be better than trading your own market, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so the beauty of it, again, it's you can all track it in your back end. So he can go and start to look, and he can look in his back end. He say, okay, now I'm feeling better on the evals. Now that I'm feeling better on the evals, let me go back to get my own account and start to get payouts and everything from there again. Only when I'm feeling good about things.
Yeah, and also knowing when to hit the gas and the brake pedal. I talk about this all the time. This is what really separates the winning day traders and the day traders that can pull out those payouts. So I think that, you can be a winning trader, but are you going to get the payout? How do you do that? You start to focus more and more on what? Just taking the everyday approach, the base hit mentality, and continuing to drive it to that level, understanding that you will run into a kind of an equity downturn. And the key is just not gas pedaling there. Brake pedal, stopping the bleeding when you are bleeding, right? And then when you are doing good, also having the ability to actually knowing when to do risk on. This is the one conversation I think we need to have more in trading that isn't talked about. And the reason why, there's so many losing traders, right? So they're focused on what? Risk management. But as you move forward and you start to risk manage, one of the most important things is also something that I need to start focusing on, that I want to start calling reward management. Because I think this is one of the things that isn't talked about enough to really separate you and get that equity curve riding higher, right?
Well, and I think there's a dangerous saying that goes around a lot in trading. That's the whole winners take care of themselves. And I've always hated that, because you're right.
Yeah.
If you have a strategy, we talk about it all the time, where a lot of, with Rando this morning in his ORB strategy, it's got a sub 50-50 win rate. So if he wasn't able to really hold when the winner came, then that would be a negative EV strategy over the long run, right? So you have to be able to not only cut the risk when it happens, but you have to be able to hold that reward when that happens as well. Because you can take a strategy that could be a very good strategy and it turns awful because you just can't really get going when you get going. And it's the same with trend following. You know, if for longer term trades, if you're taking profits all the time, you're just not going to make money because you're going to be wrong more often than you're right. So you got to really, really have that kind of gas pedal. When do I hold on? How do I hold on? What am I going to use for a trailing stop instead of just selling as things go? And more in that biggest or best losers win book, he talks about that a lot, about how that's more pain avoidance, because you're like, oh, well, I'm up money. It's going to hurt me if, you know, it comes back and I take a loss on the trade that I'm up money on, or even if it comes back to break even, that's going to hurt me as well. So I'm going to avoid that pain in order by, you know, just selling my position right now.
Yeah, I did see some comments in the chat coming in here from Fight Matters. All these trades were verified. They did go through field events, and you can see that while we were actually going through the competition, we were actually showing them.
So you can go check out the live streams there. They all
they all went through there. They're real
awesome
results, but at the end of the day, it's paper account, right? So
yeah, it's a competition account, right?
Competition account, right? And so it's just how it is. Another thing to think about is, you know, hey, if you see these results and you weren't able to do them, but you want to be able to make it happen, I think you got to really see what these guys did, right? We'll talk more about it all throughout the week. We can even bring in trade examples and things like that. So stick around, traders. We'll keep talking about the competition. We'll talk about how there was some good trades, bad trades, right? We can even bring in our own trades. I'll do that tomorrow, right? Because we didn't talk specifically about it today. So tomorrow, look forward to finding out what were the best trades for Money Mitch and Michael Noss and you guys out there in the competition. We'll look for some of the best trades. We're going to be bringing them all throughout the week. We'll break them down strategy-wise of what could have potentially been the strategy, the thinking behind the trade, especially if it wasn't, you know, Michael or I's trade. We kind of have to just look at where the buys and sells are. But these are great ways of looking at data and actually taking really good edge from the data, right? And that's what we're all looking to do. So I'll look forward to bringing this more and more in the competition.
Someone asking about Spotify. What's going on with Spotify? Ooh, that's a nice looking chart there.
Let's take a look here.
Smokes.
Take a look. What's going on in Spotify? We'll continue to move higher, right? Tariff-free stock.
That's right. If you want to talk about these software stocks, right? We see with Netflix. I mean, Netflix has just been amazing since the whole tariff thing. They don't care. So Spotify could be one of the same, but it's really nice tight base. So we're getting that breakout. To me, when it comes to these breakouts, it's all about what happens. Does it stick to landing? So right now it looks great, but the candle's not closed. So you have to go and say, hey, if it sticks to landing on the breakout, that does look nice. And this thing's been really strong for a long time. I don't know if they have anything, he said, for tomorrow. I don't know if it has any specific event or something planned, but it looks great. If it can hold this, break, that's great. Someone's asking if you're swinging Gush.
No, I have a swing on Chevron. Chevron would be the swing here. Trying to hold in on these lows, but keep getting approached. I'm actually going to get stopped out in the swing right there. It's funny you mentioned it right there. It gets stopped out. But there he goes. I lost about $90 there on the swing on Chevron. I'm still in on Gush, but I have a stop right on the low right now. So I think I'm going to get triggered. I did get back into OP. It just triggered an alert there at 236. We'll see if that goes through 242. OP is a big watch here because there's 29,000 shares at 242. So I saw that 242. It could be a seller there, whatever it may be, just sitting there with bigger size. I'm looking for it to get taken out and seeing if it goes a quick move to 250. If you actually look, this is where the liquidity move came in. So maybe that's the big buyer that stepped up, that went down, and then now it's trying to bring it back, and they're trying to rip it out and sell some of it on this rip. We'll see what happens, guys, if OP can really get moving today.
Yeah, so just following. There's nothing special tomorrow with Spot, I guess. He was just saying, hey, if you're done for today. We weren't done. We were just kind of chatting with the contest. But again, it looks good, but you just got to wait for the close, right? I think one of the things that we do too much as humans is we kind of try to paint in our head that what the candle's going to look like at the close. And that's it, right? So it's the close of this candle, you can see right here, is in 5 hours and 16 minutes. So a whole lot can happen. Right now, it looks great. But this is why you'll see a lot of swing traders, myself included, do a lot of their swing trading that last hour of the day, because
Yeah.
they need to go through and they need to say, okay, let me look at the chart where it's going to be closest to what the close is and see, okay, did this breakout stick, right? Tesla, for example, is one that I really like. I wish it didn't do this, and this is the downside of waiting to the close, but say we broke out and we were at 340 or so and we held there till the close, that's when I would take a look to buy that one. But holy smokes.
VIX coming back a little bit, guys. Q's slowing down a little bit here. I don't think it's going to be an easy ride up here, guys. I think it's going to be choppy markets. They're still concerned that there could be expansion of the war further, of course. So I don't think it's just going to be an easy ride up here. We've had a nice little move higher. We're sticking at this 530. I think this is the big spot here to see what happens. Keeping an eye on the VXX right off the support, bounced off the 53s, still stuck between a range like 54 and 53s. I actually was able to play that some on Friday, make some money, but let's see what happens here. I think you continue to watch it to see what plays out there, right? I think that's what you got to be looking at, and not looking too bad on some of the stocks out there. It's a little bit of a mixed thing today because there's still some names pretty big. Even NNE going red now. So just be careful out there. A lot of mixed noise, I think, in stocks at least. It's not just simple momentum to the upside, growth names to the upside. I haven't seen it just be that easy. But crazy range in QUBT today for a lower price name that's been moving about 16% in the intraday.
Yeah, the Q's nice call out there. Yeah, it looks like we're breaking high of the day. So we consolidated for a pretty long time. We had that push at 10 and then chilled out. It looks like we're making another little push here, well above pre-market highs. And then just to zoom out a bit, well below yesterday's high. So we have a long way to go to get to yesterday's high. So I don't know if we'll do it. We'll probably end today, gun to my head, not that I know or anyone knows anything. Probably end up with an inside day today. So it'll probably be somewhere inside this range when things happen. So again, we need to see. NVO ended up stopping me out, right? I had to stop, just trailing up behind this area. Stop me out. It's triggering again. I'm not gonna get back in. It's just too slow, I think. And sometimes that happens. The setup can look great, but the stock's just too slow. So it's just not worth like the mental capital or the actual capital. So it's like if I take this and another trade comes through that I really like better, I can't take that trade because I'm still just waiting for this to go. So I'm going to save my capital on that one and just hold on.
Opportunity cost, guys. I think it's important to understand that sometimes you're going to have to take a trade off just because the opportunity doesn't make sense for you anymore. And if it doesn't make sense why stay in the trade, right? Why stay in the trade if it doesn't make sense? Simply, the out button exists, right?
And it's not just, there is the actual capital for opportunity costs. Then you also got to think about mental opportunity costs, right? Is this something that I want to just keep throughout the day checking on as it moves a couple cents here or there? Or do I want to be able to kind of, in 13 minutes when we're done here, just say, hey, I made money on the trade. A good trade. Wasn't a great trade. It was a good trade. Like Tax saying TSL up of 20%. Ooh-wee. Holy smokes. 21%. Almost 22% now. Look at that chart. That's just crazy. So just goes to show, right? The amount of time on Twitter I saw sell the news on Tesla. It will be a sell the news event.
I was also in that camp too, right? It could have been. It could have been. I don't think that not viewing that is the negative. I think the problem there is taking too much of the internal details of the event, right? So that's the problem here. So some people were trying to judge how well the event did versus was the event a success or not, right? That's where I think it's important. There's going to be bigger differentiating factors. But another thing to think about is how negatively Tesla was viewed before this, right? I think that's what's playing in more of the upside reaction than even the robotaxi. The robotaxi is just an excuse to make it go higher, right? So
it's all positioning, right? It's all, that's, if there's one takeaway, you guys, get from me at all is that it's not news, it's positioning. So we are moving higher because people are either positioned short or under positioned, right?
Yeah.
So they have to get involved, So
100%, man.
it's just what's that? Because if this thing, as this moves higher, then, this is a Mag 7. It was the worst performing Mag 7 pretty much the entire year. It and Amazon, 55% drawdown from highs. So there might be a lot of people out there who just don't have enough Tesla. And they're saying, okay, well, now that it's moving, I have to have it. Because Tesla has these really crazy histories of these massive runs. Hasn't done anything. Again, probably the worst performing Mag 7 in the last 5-6 years. It's right where it was kind of 4 or 5 years ago. But you got to own it. You got to own it, right? They're keeping it in that. Speaking of, I always like to look at this ETF at least once a day, the MAGS, just to see if it's outperforming or underperforming the market. It's a great one. If you guys want to add this to your list, thematic ETFs, it holds the Mag 7. That's all it is, right? So it's just showing that it's moving pretty much lockstep with the market. A little bit of outperformance the overall market, but nothing crazy. Everything is inside, like we talked about right off the open. Not a day to get super crazy one way.
Yeah, look at the Qs now. It's chopping back down. So we chopped right above that 530, and now we're going into more chop mode. VIX's starting to bounce a little bit. Just be careful, guys. I just feel like this market is definitely on the late innings of the rally. Yes, I think we can get to the all-time highs. I'm with you guys on that camp. Do we push further than that? I don't know, man. There's a lot of things that are negative in this market. Regardless of the fact that the price action goes higher, there's still a lot to be a little bit weary about with inflation, still tariffs. The day's coming. Are you guys ready to hear 180 pushback? Because the day's coming. July's coming. The 90 days are almost up. So don't forget about that, guys. So we're going to get another probably pushback. That's the only thing I think can happen here. Because there's been talks of thousands of deals that are supposedly happening, coming now, but never a deal.
No, we'll just go. The deals are really close. We're going to give them time to get the deals done. They're going to be the greatest deals ever.
The greatest deals ever.
I'm contractually obligated every time it says there's a lot of negative news out there. I always like to bring up this chart. This is one of my favorite charts in the market, which is the reasons to sell, right? And we had Ebola and World War II, and this is 2009.
I will say in the pandemic, I think everybody was scared. I don't know how you buy that.
Oh, yeah.
But
I did. I did. It's one of those. I have a philosophy, and it's the same with a lot of these things. And I think part of my bullishness is seeing so many people explode during 2008. I think that's part of the reason. There's so many double dip recession was if you drank every time someone said that, you would have been dead. And it just never happened.
I think you have a little bit of irrational exuberance to the upside, Michael.
75% of the time I'll be right then. I'll take it.
100% right there, Michael. I will tell you that you have that. Use it. Right? Yeah. Use it. Sometimes, guys, things don't need to always just make sense. It doesn't need to be A plus B equals C, right? We all know how things work in math. It's not just that simple, right? Well, and I think that's where I think some people try to make it sometimes.
I think it's more than that. It's the fact that I understand that I don't understand anything. And I think that's the problem. You could read the same news event and twist it to be bearish or bullish in any way, right? So US bombing Iran. Here is 15 different ways it's bearish for the market. This is 15 different ways it's bullish for the market. And I am smart enough to know I don't know, but I'll see what the market does. Oil is selling. Markets are rallying. I went back in history. I looked at all the other times. I go, it doesn't care. So I think that's the biggest thing too, is social media, I think in general, has made it so that people think they need to have an opinion on everything. Where I'm so old that I'm pre-social media. I go, I don't need to have an opinion on everything. Right?
It's just a part of the game. Part of the game. And I think that another thing that you rely on is just that at the end of the day, markets go up. And that's where I tell you the irrational part comes into play, because I even asked Michael to give perspective, right? I've asked Michael, and then if you guys follow us on Twitter, you might catch up with these kind of conversations. just putting that out there, right? I even asked Michael, is there no headline that scares you, my friend?
Nope.
Not a single one, guys. Why?
It's just
pull the chart up again. Pull the chart up again. Because this right here, guys. Because of this. I think that this is the important thing. Because of that, right?
Eventually, everything is a buying opportunity. The only question is when and how much. Again, unless America fails. And then if America fails, it doesn't matter. None of this matters, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you have gold. It doesn't matter if you have silver bullions, right? You should have land to grow. The same example I always give, and we all had this when they're trying to learn our times tables, and I'm like, this is dumb. We have calculators. And the teacher would say something like, well, you won't always have a calculator.
It's like, well, calculator.
And I hear it from my mom still about AI and technology. It's like, what if that technology goes away? I'm like, well, I won't care about anything. It's whether or not how good am I at growing potatoes. That's the only thing, because no one has their money. It's all in banks. It's all of those things, right? So it's just if we ever take a massive step backwards, enough that the market goes down 75% and never comes back, my biggest problem is not the couple $100,000 I lost that I had invested in the market, right? There's bigger things that are going on.
Yeah, and I got here in the chat there, someone saying that, did Mitch just say that things don't need to make sense?
Yeah.
100%, man.
Yeah.
This is literally it, dude. Like
quantum computers don't exist.
If the light bulb doesn't go off there, guys, there needs to be something that you need to look at. Guys, it's not a book, man. I can tell you, Michael and I have read too many books, man. He's done the CMT, guys. It's just no answer to trading. Because if it's just an answer, then you're doing the wrong thing. Then it needs to be about this list of books that you need to read to get profitable. It doesn't work like that, right? Sometimes we trade on speculation, right? Sometimes
and again, it's all
it works.
What makes sense, right? That becomes another thing, right? What doesn't make sense to you might make sense to someone else, right? The fact that the market goes up on war may not make sense to person A, make sense to person B, right? So.
And we'll go to one of the best quotes in Wall Street, right? The market can stay more irrational than you can stay solvent, right? And that's what the truth is, guys. I can tell you guys that I've done this because I went to school for finance, right? That's what they tell you to go to school, right? They're like, oh, you want to be a stock trader? You want to learn about, you want to be a financial advisor? You want to do those types of things? Well, go learn finance, right? Well, then you go in there, and I still remember to this day, thousands of kids reading their textbooks, studying their textbooks, while I was where? In the Bloomberg terminal rooms, trying to actually learn how to apply the information, not necessarily learn and just only take in the information. It's more about actually testing information. One thing that you learn from Michael, always testing, and figuring out if the knowledge matches where the mathematics also point to, right? Is there true edge or just something that you're thinking about, right? All these types of conversations are things that you get here where you wouldn't get it anywhere else, guys. You turn on CNBC, they're never going to give you that information, right? They're never going to tell you that it's the irrational side sometimes of the news that makes sense to play, not the rational side, not the U.S. goes to war, markets go down. No, that's the quick logical thinking of how the world should and could have worked, but the world doesn't work the way we should think it works. It works the way it does, right? Like just the present. And so also another thing is, and this happens to me, guys, because I do a lot of kind of trade idea thinking, is sometimes you can get into this point where you're not focusing on what's actually happening versus what you infer to happen or infer to happen, right? What you think is going to predict the mentality, right? You want to be in that present mentality, focusing on what is actually happening versus what you think is going to happen.
Well, and I think that's the key. Like, I'm not even as a technician and a quant, I won't say news doesn't matter. What I'll say is that there's no predictive value to saying news good, stock go up, news bad, stock go down. So that's why we always talk about, you need to know the news, you need to read the news, but then you need to see what the market's reaction to that news is, right? If the news is good and the market goes up,
and just to
really
put perspective, out on Gush, guys, took the hit, 260 down on that one. Going to take the hit and keep moving, right? It got to the point where it broke the low. It was holding up there. Volumes come in at 1, 2, 3 times. They're trying to add in the volume. I can see this buyer stepping in there, but it's too much pain for me. I'm out.
And again, that's another thing to talk about, right? Could be right, but you got to stick to your plan.
You can be right too and be wrong at the same time. It's about timing too. It's about timing, right? And timing is one of the biggest things in trading. You can have a right idea and be wrong, right? The VIX is actually going higher. This is the time for the Gush to actually move higher, right? Where the VIX is going higher, the markets are moving lower. So we'll see if that was just the bottoming right there and the move comes back, right? I got out of the swing trades. I'm not in that either. I'm still in an OP long, small position. I haven't stopped placed. We'll see if that thing ever gets moving. But gonna keep riding out the day, guys. It's 11 o'clock here, wrapping up. Any last messages for those traders or trades that you're taking, Michael, before we wrap out of here?
Just, we're in a consolidation inside yesterday's range, which is right here. That is also inside a consolidation. So, we talk about it all the time. There's times to go real crazy and trade super aggressively. There's time to take a couple bucks, move on. I think we're in that time to take a couple bucks, move on. We have, if we were to get to this even prior high, that's 1.5%. So there's going to be something that takes us there. Then another 2% or so to all-time highs. So I just think there's going to be a lot of chop. Maybe we wait till the next earnings season comes before we even break, if there's no massive news that comes out. So doesn't mean you don't trade, just means you know the environment you're in, and then you trade accordingly around that environment, which right now is chop. So it means take your profits, right? Take your money when you got it.
Bowman with the move higher. We won't be mad at him. We won't be mad at all, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the day, enjoyed the conversations. Like always, enjoyed the winners of the competition. Shout out to them one more time. Definitely a good time. And of course, you guys on the Discord, top 10 out there. If you see your name, make sure you're reaching out on the Discord, getting in your prize. Don't miss that. Excited by the top 10. Top prize 1.6 in the green. Can't say that enough. What I like about it, and as much as people will probably judge out there, is multi-winner. Jorge, my man, killed it. Absolutely annihilated that competition. So shout out to him one more time. That's going to do it for us, guys. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. And just as I got out of that gush, started to come back up, right? So that's just how it goes out there,
that's
team.
Trading.
That's trading too, guys. The key, let it go after it again, guys. I had the right idea of the strategy. It's about execution. Also understanding that you have the right idea. What matters more is the actual results, right? It's not about the strategy, because the strategy could be right, timing could be off. In this case, I pulled the strategy just maybe too early, right? And so taking the approach there, I said 26. We came down to 25. Do I need to give myself a little more room? Maybe that's what it is, right? Smaller size, bigger room, could have got you through the downside. Those are the types of things that you need to be looking at, and taking a look into your data of two things before I leave: your trade plans and your actual execution. How did your trade plan go with the actual execution that you actually achieved? This is why Michael loves systems and automated trading, because he doesn't have to worry too much about the plan being too off of the execution. Last little tidbits for you guys out there. Have a good one. Stay safe out there. You guys know where you're at. It's Trade the Pool.